Bada boom. I think we are live.
I think we're live on ours. There it goes. Usually when it pops up on my phone, it means it's been announced. There it is on my phone.
Anderson, yeah, dog on the right is when we bred a little too close for too many generations.
That's how I felt every day getting up going to work.
Yeah, you kind of looked like that too, I think. Mike,
Yeah,
hi from
I'm
Indiana. Daryl Wiggins, hello from Northeast Oklahoma. Missy, we missed you last week. She wasn't here, was she?
No,
no, she
she's been
wasn't.
busy. Well, she sent me a video running. Let me see. I don't know if I can send that to you. She sent me a video or tagged me in a video. Maybe she sent it too.
Yeah, I got it on Facebook. Those little beagles running rabbit.
Yeah, I think I have an actual
Randy Riggs,
video.
hello from Colorado. That Randy's the one who came down and seen me down here, and he went and rode some of this country I ride. And
Oh, Randy Riggs.
yeah,
Oh, that's the.
I think it was Randy. It was Randy. Hey, I went to see my grandkids in Andrews, Texas. First, we had to New Year or Christmas Eve. Of course, we had to go be with my mom and dad, and then my niece and all their family. And then we drove Christmas Day. We drove all the way to Andrews. Spent Christmas Day there. The next day, I started feeling kind of bad. And then I spent the next day and a half in the motel room sick.
Every time you get around people,
Texas doesn't agree with you.
No,
too many people.
too much
Don't
money.
agree with
Too
it,
much
right.
money over there.
No, there's not any people at Andrews.
Let's see. The little houndsman said, "There's what? What'd you say, Benny?"
Chris said there's too many people in Texas. I said there's not too many people in Andrews.
No, there's not. It's a pretty nice little town, really. Little houndsman. This is Bisbee's daughter. Hey, Brett, it's me, Wayne's daughter. Today we went mountain lion hunting and did not see a single track, but we put a shocking collar on Opal and toned her to train her to come to her name immediately. That's one of the first things got to be done.
Manners
Yep.
are important.
Richard Fye, you teach them to tone, and then if you go as long as I do without catching a lion, then you don't have to just burn them up. You can just tone them and kind of correct them on things without being too hard on them, I think. Wayne Bisbee, Brett's technical channels. There you go.
Actually, it wasn't technical difficulty. It was we were just bullshitting. Realized it was 6:02.
Oh yeah, we got carried away in our own conversation.
Yeah, mental difficulties. Sorry.
We actually talk to each other without being online from time to time.
Yep.
James Myers, hey guys, sure was warm today here in Los Lunas. It was hot down here in Las Cruces.
Instead of little houndsman going by Wayne's daughter, she should say, "This is Benny's friend."
There you go. Pacific Challenger, evening guys. If you were starting from scratch with no, here you go. This is a good question. Pacific Challenger, evening guys. If you were starting from scratch with no hounds, would you try to get an older dog and some? He means pumps. He doesn't mean pumps because you can't hardly hunt in pumps, but pups or just get a few pumps. Pumps are hard to hike in, hard to ride a mule in too. Pups and go hunt, and they will figure it out. How does a guy start? Benny, the floor. You have the floor.
The absolute best way. Period. The cheapest
in the long run. In the long run.
Cheapest is to find someone that will sell you an old dog, say 8, 9, 10 years old, that knows their business. And then you put 2 younger dogs with that, not 5 and 6 and 8-week old dogs, yearlings with that old dog. And then you just hunt. Every breath you take should be focused around hunting. And stay out of that old dog's way.
Good advice. Good answer.
There it
Benny.
is. That's it.
There you
Quick,
go.
fast, easy.
All right, guys.
Whatever.
That's enough. Let's
Whatever.
get out of here.
Whatever me and Brett says don't mean crap.
Benny said it all. There's nothing left to be said.
Well, thanks, guys, for coming to the show. We'll see you next week. You guys only get one question, one good question. You can ask a bunch of stupid ones, but only one good one.
Let's see, Jeremiah. See how Benny is running out of hair. That's because he trained hounds.
Yeah.
So what else do we got? Well,
what else do we got? What did you do this week there, Brett? Do anything?
Stayed sick. I found deer though. I'm making progress. I've been out every morning with the buggy, just scouting really. And I don't know why. I have these brain farts, I guess. I told you about me and my grandson called that lion in over here that time.
Yeah.
And I've been back there like once, but I haven't been back there. So I've hit it the last 3 mornings and haven't found any tracks or anything, but there's a bunch of deer in there. It's so dry. We've been in such a drought. I mean, everything's down by the river. I mean, there's nothing out across the desert hardly.
You know what I was reading? Did you read all of George Lambert's stuff? And all them guys are not catching nothing, not finding nothing to catch, I should say. I don't think it's not catching.
Are the bears kind of sitting still?
That's what they're saying. Held up, and you can't find no. I guess the food source is low, and I think that's everywhere. I know they got all crazy and shut down units here, but I don't think there was. I think it took them a lot of people to do that. I don't think, you know what I mean? When you got 15, 20 people out looking for bears, you're going to find bears. You got people glassing and running dogs, but like just for a loner like me, or just out looking, it was, I guess I caught 5 bears in a week, but it's just slow. It's slow. And of course, all the units are open for lions still that I haven't checked in the last week, but that's because there's no snow.
Have you been out though?
Yeah. Just in my area, 3 feet.
Find a lion track or anything?
No. Did a couple little circles and, bear and lions open. So I was hoping just to rummage across the bear. Maybe I've seen tracks on the bear, but they're staying close to them trash cans. So there's Jeremy, Louisiana hunting.
Louisiana hunting. Yeah, there wasn't. I mean, it's just been hectic really around here. Traveling and getting sick and getting back home.
I built some stuff in my dog box. Did I take a picture of it? I did. I'll show you what I built. So I had a little space in the middle of my dog box, and there it is. Let me see if I can send you this picture. And I built a little like a storage area in it is what I did. So, and I got to use it. I put 9 dogs in this box still, and it didn't affect them at all. So, and then Stinker loving up on me the last couple days, and I said, "This damn jib's coming in heat or something." That's the only time a woman loves up on you, when they're ovulating. And she just like annoyingly wanted me to pet her. Sure as shit, last night she come in the house and looked down. I'm like, "Man, are you in heat?" Sure as heck, she's in heat. So
here we got a first time listener, Max Puckett from Michigan. Puckett.
First time listening live. Oh, I cut out a lot of stupid stuff, Max. So
I listen to those podcasts and I say, "Hey, I didn't even get in trouble."
I have to make them family friendly sometimes. What I do is I go through. If you guys watch this, and like I listen to one on the way down, I listen to them so I see what I missed, and man, I still miss a lot of stuff. And if I don't want to say nothing because once you know you're doing it, and people you tell them, they'll pay attention. Because you just say you know, like so, yeah, and but like so I try to cut out all those silences, and I don't know, I got something wrong with my lungs or something in my since I've been 12, and I I clear my throat a lot. Not as much as in person. If you guys know me in person, you probably, but um, so I edit all that stuff out if I can because I don't like to hear myself clear my throat. It takes me like 5 hours to edit those. See now that I said it, I'll know I'm saying it.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
For sure. We'll just start a new word every time we see how many times we can say it. You guys remember Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse? And he had the word of the day, and if you said it, everybody had to yell.
Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse.
So I sent you.
Well, that's
I sent
kind
you
of like
pictures of what I built.
the Pee Wee Herman statement. That's a segue to lead into the inbred side of this topic.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. So, man, there's a. I tell you what, on that social media, just watching it. So you see that little. Well, you move it down. Can you move it down a little bit? I don't know. There you go. So where I got all that medical bag and my collars, that used to just be a piece of. I had a piece right there. So I took that out, and if you go to the next picture, I went back
I don't
18 inches.
I don't have another picture.
Oh, it's coming.
Well, it takes me a while because I have to download it and then export it.
Yeah, I seen
and
it.
then
So I built a box back there. It goes back about 18 inches, and it's that height. My tailgate shuts and covers that, and I didn't have no hinges for my door. So, but if you see right there, we put Chris on the left side of the box, Tulip on the right side, and Brett just climbs right in the middle there. I keep all my collars, and if you see that bag, that bag is sitting on a shelf. I have a little shelf in there, right in the middle, at 12 inches, so I could keep all my collars and stuff in there. Kind of handy. There's your other one.
I see, Chris. You try to claw out worse than I do. That's why you had to have that 1/4 inch shaker screen.
I owned a scrapyard, man. See that stuff? So you see that material is it's conveyor belt. So that's all that is. So that box goes back, and I only went back 18 inches, and it don't bother them dogs. Just nice to have a little bit of storage. That's what I did Sunday. Real quick, like I like to build stuff. And I use conveyor belt. I wrap that whole box with that conveyor belt. That's good stuff. Just like a PVC conveyor belt.
do you think bobcats can see colors? I was hunting on the furniture company today. Head to wearing orange hat, and it jumped 3 times. The third time, what's a den tree? I think it was because of my hat.
I bet you he's driving around texting. Last time he was texting like this, he kept jumping as I was walking in. I think he just heard you. Bobcat. Seen you coming in. Sees movement, no matter what color you're wearing. Right?
No kidding.
That's like when those lions, they always say to, come in above the lion. So they go downhill instead of up and over. Or bears.
Wayne Bisbee, 4 days, one small line track frozen over and a nice tom track that was cold but runnable. We treed and jumped to a loose. We had them going for almost an hour. Pretty exciting for the kids. Oh, I bet. Benny, what have you been doing since? What have you been doing since you retired?
I've been on the road. I've been driving and driving. I've been trying to see how much diesel fuel I can burn. Let's see. Christmas, the day after Christmas, Thursday, I went to Central Texas to get some papers signed. And Friday, I came home. I was home Saturday and Sunday. Today, I went to Moriarty to pick up some chickens, and then I had to beat it back and do the chores and get online.
You went all the way to Moriarty to get chickens?
You know, there's a breed of chickens that I've been wanting. The hatchery sent me the wrong chickens that I ordered 2 times in a row last time, so I was bent. I've been wanting to feed them to the coyotes, but I got a dog that won't let the coyotes come in. So my wife says, well, they're still laying eggs, can't get rid of them. Well, they're not laying eggs. And there was a woman that had some 8-month-old chickens of the breed I want for sale at Moriarty, and I didn't have to buy 12 or 15 to get a good deal, so I went to Moriarty.
What kind of
Told you
chicken do you
guys.
like?
They're called, what are they? I don't know. Bielefelder or something like that.
What do you like about them?
They're big, and if they don't lay an egg, I can cut their head off and eat them, and I can set a precedent in front of all the other hens.
Listen, I don't know why you have to be violent and say you had to cut their head off first. Can't you just say I just ate them? So we say harvest. So what would you call it? I consumed them. How's that? Is that politically correct?
Because consuming them in a general, easy, gentle nature does not send the correct message to the rest of the flock.
Lay eggs or die. Period.
Yeah.
Well,
Jason Doobie texts me, says, where are you guys talking about the chicken fighting in this? I think he had to check it, make sure we weren't being too illegal. I said, I'm around 14 minutes. Go check it out. I said, we didn't say nothing bad.
were we talking about chicken fighting on this one?
It was a couple shows ago. It's the one that just came out yesterday. Yeah. I don't know. It's either this one or mine. One of them might have been mine. I send them whenever I can. Whatever comes out first.
Hey, everybody watches all these reality shows for the drama. And if we have a chicken fight every now and then, that's just a little drama. Come on,
Yeah.
Jason, man up.
I'm not
Maybe he was
gonna.
just interested in
I'm not gonna touch it.
In fact, when I put the new rooster in with the old rooster today, the first thing they did was have a chicken fight.
Yep.
And the new rooster beat the snot out of the old rooster, and now he owns all the hens.
You know,
So that's the way it usually
here we go.
works.
Here we go. You know, when you're raising chickens for fighting, you know, they're all in a set. It's no different than raising dogs. When you got a 3-month-old dog taking a track and, you know, barking on it or just something kind of cute. Same thing with chickens. When you let these little roosters out and they're just yay big and they're starting to spar up on each other, you're like, there we go. He's the one. He's the one.
That's it.
There ain't no money.
It's just
You know, all this.
It's a street fight for rednecks.
That's all it is.
So tell me,
You
did you line breed your chickens or were they inbred?
You know, my uncle was more into the breeding part of it. Like he did it for a long time. I'm talking, he could sell an egg for $1,000 if they knew there was a chicken out of a rooster in it. And I tell you what, that's no joke.
I bet he kept papers on them. He kept the lineage on them.
Oh, I'm sure he did. You know, and then California got rid of it and they ran over to Arizona and everybody came to Arizona and they got rid of it and they ran over to New Mexico and it is what it is. You know, they're chickens, people.
Thanks, Wayne. Everybody give us a thumbs up.
I'll get on my cell phone just to give a thumbs up with sparklers.
But
so Benny, back to breeding. Might as well get to the topic. Are you ready, Chris, or you got something else?
To get to the topic in 22 minutes, 20 minutes after we start is kind of a record.
Oh, you think we're getting a little too quick, huh?
Usually we have stuff going on.
This is a good way to finish up the year.
Yeah, it don't sound like none of us had nothing going on
Yeah.
this week.
Well, since
So,
this is the last episode of the year, how was y'all's? We know how Benny's year was. He had to work, and every time I talked to him, his face was tore up, and he was griping.
But look,
He's smiling now.
he's smiling. Yeah, he's not working no more. So,
So, yeah,
yeah.
how about New Year's resolutions or at least goals for the coming year?
I had one word for my family, and they said, "What?" And I said, "I'm just transparent. I'm not going to be vague. I'm just going to be transparent." And every one of my kids says, "Aren't you already?" I said, "You'll see.
No.
You'll see if I was or not." So that's all I said. I'm going to be transparent. You ask me, I'm going to tell you. So don't ask me something if you don't want to know. But you already like that. I said, well, I'm going to be like that more.
So that's your New
Yeah.
Year's resolution?
Yeah, just to be transparent. You know?
That's all?
I think it's all what it is, man, all this ADWA, DA stuff and all these social media stuff, man, it's just these people. 22 minutes in and Chris isn't pissed. Good job, buddy. God damn it. Now he had to go mess with me, didn't he? No, I just think people are it's crazy out there. It's crazy. I read these comments, I see people just
Stay
their
focused, Chris.
opinions. It's crazy.
Oh, you're talking about Facebook.
Just everything. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, YouTube. It's just this whole drama.
I don't have that trouble on YouTube.
Especially with dogs, like the anti-activists. Man, the comments, people, they just get into fights about anything. They can't just let it go. If you don't like it,
keyboard
scroll on.
warriors. That's the bottom line. It's keyboard
And that's what
warriors.
I've been telling them. I get on there and I'm like, you're just a troll. What are you doing here? Your profile's fake. Like, you're a troll. Like the guy who got killed by the bear that fell on him. Holy moly. It's just those people are
saying he got what he deserved.
Oh, yeah. You guys have actual topics? Wait a minute.
Well, it is our goal. It's our intent.
We have a lot of topics.
We'll talk for 2 hours about anything but the topic, and then we spend about 10 minutes on the topic.
That's about it. It's just, and I feel like those people aren't going to say that stuff to the family in person. And I said that. I commented and say, you guys can say this right here, but you won't say that to the family. You won't say that in person to somebody. Because most of these people that are trolling are just cowards. Most of your animal activists are cowards. You see them just keyboard warring up, throwing some ninja stars and samuraiing, and you get them to those game and fish meetings, and they hide in the corner. They don't come up and talk to you. They hide. They won't eyeball you. There goes my again. I have to cut that out. Damn it.
For sure.
For sure. Topics. Of course we have topics. We talk about 15, 16 things at a time. Sometimes all at once.
Multitasking.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I listen to some of these other dog, and they just talk about dogs, and some of them are interesting. I don't know.
Well, we gotta. We have to elaborate on how we started with this. It really wasn't meant to go live there for a long time. It was just all of us getting together and talking. That was when George Lambert came on, and we were just all BSing, and we just decided to push the go live button one time, and
that's kind of a joke. Brett said, we ought to just go live. And we all just looked at her like, yeah, well, what's it going to hurt? And we did, and We've been doing it ever since.
And people actually stopped in to listen to us for a little bit.
Yeah. Yep.
They just want to know if you're ever going to talk about something.
Well, we only had like 20 people stopping in, and then we recruited Benny to come on here, and then
Yeah.
it just exploded.
Yep.
Well, Brett, haven't you always said you would rather just have this like we were all sitting around a campfire just talking?
It would be really cool if we could all, if we had a place where we could all be together, across a table from each other or something. I mean, but this is the next best thing.
Just like the John Clump little interview story, like,
Yeah, or when we were in Douglas
that would be
down
great,
there.
around a campfire. And if you could get people just to stop in and tell the story.
Yeah.
I had somebody tell me,
and that's, I think,
who it was now. They told me that they saw me they were watching something that came up, and I was at this old ranch with this rock house, and we were talking to a guy, and I said, "Oh yeah, me and Brett and John Clump."
Mm-hmm.
So some of those things like that is what really stands out too, is the background.
Jeremiah. I don't know if Jeremiah's confused, thinking we do something right.
Yeah, we need to
things here, mostly that I'm doing everything wrong.
Well, yeah, we need to have a disclaimer that comes up prior to us going live. All the opinions are just opinions, and
we're not responsible.
And usually we're just full of shit.
What does it say? The opinions of this cast is not relevant to the.
Not necessarily.
Yep.
For entertainment purposes only.
Period. Satire. This is just satire.
Wayne's getting down to the brass tacks, so he's putting pressure on you, Chris.
Well, it's going to be probably August 24th, whatever that weekend is, on the 22nd, 3rd, 4th. I don't remember what it is. It's probably going to be in the same area, not the same place. The reason is because that place sucks. And this time, we're going to be able to get in there Thursday. This is coming from Pick and Shovel Outfitters, which is Casey and Diane Fair. Great host.
Yeah.
Diana can't back a trailer really very good, but she's a great host. Of course, I was having a hard time back that trailer too.
So Thursday is the 21st.
Yeah, so it's the 22nd.
22nd, 23rd, and 24th is a Sunday.
And as far as I've talked to Casey so far, we should be able to stay there all week, just like we got to do last time, except this one might be actually planned. So, and I have some great ideas for raffles, and we actually will have, we'll be raising money for Arizona this time. So, I don't know, it'll be cool. I hope. It was cool last time, and it was a spur of the moment. What did we plan that a month ahead and said we're going to do something, and then just, I think Diane came out and said, "Hey, you can do it here. We'll make dinner." Even Brett was like, "What happened? We just wanted a campfire."
I was just going to go for a little camping outing, and there was a bunch of people showed up.
Man, that was crazy. From 5-6 different states. I think it was just an amazing, for a quick throw together, it was really great. So I think this time, the Tennessee people will know to bring more of that moonshine. I mean, more jars of Kool-Aid.
Rick, there's a place to stay and camp.
And this is supposed to be a bigger place where they house 200 forestry guys. So it's going to be a bigger area.
We're going to be in a. All right. Well, good, because I've got a key. I can get in early if you guys need in.
I don't know what kind of place. I got to go down there and take a look. I just hadn't had a chance. So it'd be pretty. I think it's going to be a lot more interesting. We had a band lined up, or Casey or Diane did, and the guy thought it was the next weekend. So,
you know what? I'm not sure. It's been a few years that he passed. It wasn't long after I interviewed him. Ruben Lossman.
That's another thing we need to talk about too. A lot of these, because most of these people on this show are houndsmen. Most of them, And there are some people that actually listen to us that have. My brother's not a huge outdoorsman, and he says, "Man, you guys are just the stories." He likes the stories, and we start telling all the lies we tell. But those interviews, me and Brett have been talking about interviews, and gosh dang, it's hard to get. It's hard to get my. It costs $500 to $800 probably to go interview anybody out of the state. Just fuel's going to run you
Oh
big
yeah,
money.
just going. I mean, that's
And trying to find a sponsor or somebody to pick up the tab and say, "Oh, hey, you know, we need these interviews." To find somebody that thinks we need these interviews, like we feel we need these interviews, is tough to do. For one, touching hounds is it's just controversial, period. It's
yeah,
just
like a company like Garmin. Most all of
yeah,
us run hounds. I mean, the most of us use
yeah.
Garmin equipment.
We might be this much in their little pocketbook, but we all run Garmins.
And the attention they would get from sponsoring or supporting lion hunting, I mean big game hunting with hounds, would do them more damage to
Mm-hmm.
the general public than it would benefit them. That's the word that I heard. Because
Yep.
I always thought that, I mean, I hate to go down that same old road again, but I paid for those Dale Lee tapes. I put them all up. The Bruce Kennedy, I put all those up, and then I went and did, I don't know, what have I done, 5 or 6 interviews, something like that, maybe more than that. And I thought by showing that, I could do it, I could get out there and I could put together something that was, fairly decent to watch and listen to, that you'd be able to get some of these people say, "Oh man, he's already doing it. We can sponsor him, or we can help out." But companies don't want to deal with us.
No, it's not that Garmin don't like us, Rick. Let me go back to Rick's other question. We just tie our dogs out. We got a picket line. Everybody just ties their dogs out
Yeah, but I
at the
mean, with
rendezvous.
Garmin, I mean, of course, Cody, being the practical person that he is, he said, "Well, we should feel lucky that Garmin actually builds equipment that we can use."
Yeah.
And really, I mean, it is the best, I guess. I've never
Well,
used
he's right.
Dogtra or anything like that.
Well, I know people
It
that
is
have
the
Dogtra,
best. But
and
Garmin,
it's friendly user friendly.
yeah. But
Garmin's
I
more
go
friendly
back
user.
to I go back to I had shot callers back when Tritronics was still Tritronics. And Tritronics was come into place because of hounds.
Oh yeah,
Dale Lee and where was that young man out of Kentucky or somewhere
yeah.
that and he's the one that did that and Garmin wanted the best and so they bought the Tritronics from the hound industry because
Hmm.
back then nobody used Tritronics other than hounds because they had Dogtra, they had all these other ones that weren't as intense and abusive, not abuse, abrasive as the Tritronics was. And it takes more than just your average to get a hound's attention. And that's why Tritronics is at the level that it was. So when Garmin bought out Tritronics, and now all of a sudden they don't have any use for the very people that it was designed for, it just kind of sticks right under my head.
So that reminds me about Garmin, and go back to a story. I was driving my buggy this morning, and I jumped probably 15 head of deer, and I mean the box just blew up. Dogs bawling. I said, "All right," and I, I dumped them out of the box, and they ran about 20 feet in front of me, and they all just turned around and looked at me like, we've been down this road
They knew
before,
what was
Betty.
up. They knew what was up.
We just couldn't tell what it was by looking at them out of the
Mm.
box, but oh well. That
You know,
reminded me of the
we
Tritronics
can
and the getting the dog's attention.
you can go back if you go back to any houndsman that fell right on that era to where the they didn't have shock collars. All they had were ropes and a tree, and they put a shock collar on a dog. They'll tell you could train 5 dogs to the one
Game changer.
with those
Game
shock
changer.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, exactly.
And then I'm going to go ahead and just say that these animal activist pukes that say it hurts them, shocking them, they do this and that. They don't. You save a dog's life by burning them up. Just like taking a shock collar off of a dog is like taking paddling out of schools. Look what happens.
Corporal punishment.
Oh, I have a story of exactly what you're talking about, Chris. I went all the way to Payson, Arizona to rescue a dog that was Dickerson's dog, and he sold it to a guy. The guy stayed in and out of jail drunk, and his dog would run the streets, and it still had Dickerson's collar on it, and Dickerson was living with us. His family was living with my family, and so they'd call Dickerson and say, hey, and so I told Dickerson the next time they call, let me know. I'm going to Payson. I'm going to get that dog so it doesn't get run over. So I ended up getting that dog, and he was hell on wheels. Cuervo was his name. Well, Cuervo had no respect for somebody calling his name if he had something else on his mind. So I had taken the dogs down there by PIR, Phoenix International Raceway on the river down there, and just to get them out and run them up and down and see if they find a skunk or something. I went to load the dogs, and as soon as Cuervo saw we were loading up, he took off the other way. And Cuervo was gone until the next day I got a phone call, and the lady said, I think I have your dog here. I said, oh? She says, but he's dead. So I went over there, and Cuervo was dead. There was a bunch of sheep in the area, and I knew the sheep rancher. I don't have any ill will towards him. He's looking after his sheep.
Mm-hmm.
Cuervo wouldn't listen to me, and he went over there and got into some bait set out for coyotes. And so my dog died because I didn't have a handle on him. When Diane came home and she says, you find Cuervo? And I let the tailgate down, and I said, there you go. And she says, I guess we need to buy shock collars. I said, I think it's one dog too late. And yet it's exactly what would have done, Chris. It would have saved Cuervo's life.
Yep.
I hate poison though. I lost a really good dog to poison.
Yeah, it's no fun, and there's no rhyme or reason where it is. There's no OnX mark that says there's poison here, stay away. Well,
and they use that. What they do is they would salt those, a dead cow with that. What's it called? Timic, and it kills like 3 times.
Yeah, Timic.
It kills like 3 times. It kills whoever eats it off the cow. Then if a bird eats it, gets on it, and then flies off somewhere and dies, whoever eats that bird, it dies too. And
that strychnine is just as bad, right? That strychnine was some horrible stuff.
Oh man, it was awful.
That's what this was strychnine. He didn't. He took that. He ate that little Vienna sausage, and I bet he didn't even get it all the way down into his belly, and he was dead. But it's only because I didn't have a handle on my dog, and if I had had a shock collar, and I did, I bought shock collars right after that. It cost me a good dog for me to spend the money.
I think if you raise your dog, go ahead, Brett.
No, go ahead, Chris.
If you raise your dog right, you will rarely shock that dog. The only time I'm trying to think, like the times I shot dogs, when I shot a coyote and I drug it across the road. I had my buddy driving across the road, hang it in a tree, and I drove across the road, let my dogs down. When those dogs sniffed and went over to that tree, I burned them up. But any other time, or if I had a dog fight, and the only time I've had dog fights is when there is a jip in heat. Every time. It's my biggest dog fights.
Yeah, I mean, deer and coyotes, a hot coyote race is a real number. Like, what's the highest number on that? 18 offense. That's a bad offense right there. And that's a hot coyote race.
Didn't Ed Vance, in his book, didn't he say He went and bought those dogs. He ran up, and there was a frozen hind quarter, and so all they did is chew on it a couple times, and he ran up and kicked them, and they still died. I think in Trained by Hounds, and their story in that.
Oh, on the
Where
poison?
they didn't devour it. They just went up and chewed on it.
My dog just picked up a little bird, a dead bird. He just picked it up in his mouth and chewed on it. I wasn't even paying any attention. We were going up to the top of the mountain on a saddle. And I turned around and looked, and I seen him back there. And he was just, shaking around. I thought, what the heck? And I kicked my mule into a lope and went back down there and watched. And it was hard to watch. And I had a friend of mine with me. And I told him, I said, man, I said, will you shoot him for me? He was one of my first. He's the one I got from Riley Miller. And by the time he, went to get his gun, the dog had died. But it was a sad thing. It was awful. And let me tell you what, I was a little angry, to say the least.
Brad?
And
what?
Yeah.
You?
And I borrowed a piece of their equipment for the next 5 years, and they never had the guts. They never had the guts to ask me for it back.
Then you've done with it and took it back to him.
I didn't even use it. I stored it for 5 years, and then I took it back to him.
Answer that question up there. Where'd it go?
Yeah, there's a good question.
What's your favorite way to start cat bear pups? What's your opinion on free range method if the opportunity and lack of roads is present? That is what I do. When I have puppies, they just run free in my yard, and to the point I got people calling me saying, hey, you got hound pups, because they're down on the road or in my area. I don't live by a busy road. But if the longer you can let them pups run around and chase rabbits and squirrels and mice, whatever.
Absolutely.
Feral cats, I had barn cats, is the best way to train those pups, period. Best way. I had my neighbor call and say, oh, hey, it's so cute. You got like 6 little hound puppies over there, and I got my cat up in the tree. And they were like 8 weeks old at my neighbor's house, like barking at that cat.
Did you go pet them up? Good dogs.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, it's cute now, but when they're 4 months old, don't let them get hold of that cat. But I had a good cat that would just run around and have litters, and she just, I just let 2 cats go in my shop because the coyotes. God, everybody whines about hound guys using cats or whatever, but them coyotes are vicious on cats. Every time I get a good little herd of cats around here, them coyotes tearing them up. Or this damn chicken hawks or owls. Owls will get you.
Those great horned owls will carry a cat off.
They will. They killed, I had, 30, 40 pigeons around my place. And within 4 days, I had 6. They're murder on stuff.
You keep cats around your house?
I try. I got 2 cats in my house. My wife.
She doesn't count. You got to have a different cat than your wife.
Stinker will not mess with. She'll stare at them and she'll want to eat them. You could tell she wants to chase them. But get her to my dad's house where these cats are running all over. Neighbors have cats all over the place. There's hundreds of cats around here. She'll chase cats all day, all night. 1 a.m, she'll have them treed. I'll hear her out there treed. I have to call her over here because she has the most annoying, squeaky, nasty. Jeremy knows, but that's the best way. If you have the opportunity to free range and let them just hunt,
let them learn how to be a hound.
Exactly right. Let them learn how to. And what I did is, like right now, right next to my stove, I have a pickle jar full of bear chitlins, what do they call them? I rendered the fat out of it, and so I keep all those. When I have a litter of pups, I'll throw those out in the front yard and whoop, and they'll come to me now because I'm going whoop, and then they come. When I first do it, whoop, I feed them it, and then I start throwing it in the yard. When they're coming, I'll start throwing it in the yard, and they'll come to you like, "Oh, where's my snack?" You keep throwing it, and then they'll learn to. I watch when I throw that handful out there, and I say, "Whoop!" I see who comes quickest, and I see who uses their nose, and then I'll keep them in a little pile, and then I'll start throwing that hamburger meat, whatever I have, but those bear fat chitlins. What are they called? Cracklins. Sorry, cracklins. And I'll throw them further and further to where they are spread out, and then I'll start throwing 1 or 2 or 3. I won't throw a handful. I'll throw 1 or 2, and then you watch those dogs, and I love raising puppies. A lot of people don't. I love raising puppies because I love watching them dogs from when they're 2 weeks old, and my daughters are crawling in the barrels of the whelping box and playing with them, and I have to pick ticks off them, check them for ticks, and the kids, my wife's yelling at me about ticks or whatever, and that's that sensory thing, whatever they call it, neural, sensory, whatever, desensitized, and those, they're getting picked up all the time. And then when they're like 4 weeks old, I get a little rag, a little stuffed animal, usually put a little scent on it. It don't matter what, just any scent.
How about the gauze lion scent? Have you ever tried that?
I used to use that, and I'd keep it in my refrigerator in a jar, and it would stay fresh forever. And I just pick a little bit of that, and they say that's the best stuff because they use actual glands that are ground up. But I think just any scent, just to get them kind of competitioning a little bit. They're fighting each other, and they're kind of playing around, and you drag it, and they chase it. And I got kids. You let your kids do it, Look at Louis. Let me tell you a story about Louisiana hunting real quick. A few days ago, I make about a 5-gallon pot of boil.
Send him a link. Does he have a link?
He has a link.
I don't think he always gets on yours. I don't think he likes mine.
You know why? Because I didn't tell him to get on, but he should have that link.
You don't need permission. If I don't want you on, I won't. All I got to do is not push that button.
Do you have that link, Jeremy?
I recognize that.
Jared, they all have the link. If you guys have a link, just jump on. But I sent him a picture, and I could probably send it to you. I said, we dump it out on the table. And my wife and the kids are gone. They're at they're at the in-laws. So it's me and my 3 daughters and my 2 grandsons, because my 1 grandson went with my wife. And we made this big boil, and I dump it out there on the table there. And I video in it and said, "There you go, Louisiana hunt. Jeremy, how you like this?" And then I said, "The only thing you don't have at your boil is a pig." And I went over to my son, who was in his game and fish outfit. He'd stopped by in his uniform, and it was just kind of funny. But then he goes, you guys don't know nothing about crawdads. And I was like, "What are you talking about?" When I videoed my pile, you didn't see no crawdads in it because we had already I had 2 pots, and so he was like chewing my butt how I didn't have enough crawdad in my boil. Damn Louisianans! I can't just go out there with a bucket and scoop them up. Jeremy,
I ever tell you about the time I went to Louisiana, and we went out to eat with these pretty fancy people, and they had those mud bugs. They brought out a big old platter of those mud bugs, crawdads.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting there next to this real fancy lady. I mean, she was all dolled up and real sophisticated. And I was looking I'd never eaten crawdads before. And I was looking at those things, and I turned around and looked at her, and I said, "Man, how do you eat these?" She looked at me, and she smiled, and she said, "Well, you eat the tail and you suck the heads." I said, "Oh." I said, "That sounds like something we'd do say
God. Oh.
out around the campfire, not at a sophisticated dinner like that."
That's what got me. Never mind. That's what got me 9 years.
Actually, I've never been to a boil in East Texas or Louisiana where they poured it out on the table on the paper. That there was no sophistication there whatsoever. You didn't jump in.
I don't think the restaurant was that sophisticated. It was the people we were with, yeah.
Okay.
And then sitting next to that lady in a dress and all nice, and dressed up, and I was only like 28 or 29 years old too, so I was pretty young.
Trying to send Jeremy a link. Man, the best crawfish I had. We had one of our clients. We had a PI office in London for a while, and they sent us over Rolls Royce, a Silver Cloud, like an '88 Silver Cloud. And so I had to go to Galveston to pick it up from the docks, and they were closed. And then when I went there, they said you don't show up in a taxi; you got to take a limousine to get there. So I jumped in a real nice car, had the guy drive us over. Well, the docks were closed for lunch, so we went and had some place in Galveston, and I ordered 2 pounds of crawdad, but it was that saltwater crawdad or whatever. Man, I'm telling you what, that was some.
Oh, they're good.
They brought out a big bowl. 2 pounds is a lot. I'm gonna tell you that. That was the best crawdad I ever had in my life. Okay, let me send Jeremy this link. I'm not fast.
River Rasca.
Oop, wrong one.
This is one of those dull times he has to edit out.
I
So
do.
we can say whatever we want.
Dude,
Yeah, you can say
for
whatever you
sure.
want. Yeah, well, I have a thing on there. You hit silence, and you take out all the silences under 20 dBs, so it'll clear a lot of the silences. Let me see. Come on, paste. I'm trying, Jeremy. Oh, you son of a no good.
He doesn't have the link.
No, he probably. I'm sending it though. I'm sending it to his email, so I have to copy and paste and all that good stuff. Tell us a story, Benny.
Tell us a good story, Benny. It doesn't have to be true.
I guess
most of them aren't.
Well,
most of them aren't.
What a friend of mine always said: "Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story."
That's exactly right. Copy.
That's exactly right. I think I told you, didn't I tell you when I wanted to rope those lion kittens and I got told no? They'd be dead when I got back. Yeah, I told you that one. How many?
Well,
I would want to know how many times you guys. I think I asked this one other time, but how many times you guys been in a tree with a lion and knocked that lion out of the tree with a stick under your own power? And I'm not talking a little piddly lion. I mean a lion.
I never have.
I've never got to pull a tail.
I've never. As you well know, Benny, I usually don't mess around very long.
I've had lions knock me over coming out of a tree.
I had one knock me out of the way. I mean, smooth knocked me out of the way coming out of a cave hole.
And I've had lions attempt to get on me, and that'll give you a different. Now, one of those lions that was going to get on me, she got down on the ground, and she got up against a line of salt cedars at the creek bottom. And I think I had 8 dogs there that day, maybe 9, and they had her all wooled up around there, and she couldn't get away. And we were watching all this commotion on the ground because I think that the little hand-to-hand combat really sets those dogs off, and that either makes them a lion dog or it doesn't. It makes them want to hunt lions or makes them want to stay at the house. And so anyway, this is going on, and all of a sudden this lion grabbed my best dog, pulled him in and bit him, had a hold of his head in her mouth. And so I had a pistol there, and I stuck my pistol into somebody's chest. I said, "Hold this." And I went in there to stomp on that lion. And I mean, I was right there amongst all the commotion, and I had my foot raised up, and I was getting ready to crunch that lion in the neck. And the dogs jumped on that lion's back and really went to wrenching on her. And she turned that other dog loose, and all the dogs jumped back, and it was just me and that lion. And then I did the crawfish.
Man, look at
I
those
went,
headphones.
He's all fancied up on his computer now.
I try. But what I said, Chris, is they charge you $40 for 3 crawfish.
That's right. See, three crawfish on my table.
They're Chinese crawfish, so they're about
that
big.
Yeah. You know, I seen what is that Stale Cracker guy? He sells those big bags of crawfish. and I don't know how far he can ship them.
He can ship them worldwide, but he's robbing folks.
You think so?
Yes, sir.
Wish I had a cool friend that lived somewhere with a lot of crawfish. Send me some.
Yeah.
I sent you a video. My yard got oceanfront property in North Louisiana.
I tell you that I would love to live in Louisiana or somewhere where you could just go out. I mean, I don't know how true that whole swamp people is, where they go out and when every time they have those big dinners and they're eating everything, shrimp, crawdad, gator. I'm just like, oh man, we're just
That's
eating
the way of
bear,
life.
lion, bobcat.
Casey asked me, he said, "Do you
deer.
eat them bugs too?" I'm like, "What bugs are you talking about?" He said, "Them crawfish and shrimp." I said, "You dang right."
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're good. I like them.
I should bring some. If we're gonna make it to Douglas in April, I'll bring some shrimp and crawfish étouffée.
Please do. Yeah, in April's. I mean, it's getting closer, isn't it?
It is.
It's like a couple weeks away, just about.
Seems like. Way time's flying now.
Flying by.
So Benny, we now that Louisiana hunting is here. Benny, what do you have any New Year's resolutions? We got sidetracked again when I started that conversation.
I've never done New Year's resolutions. I work on myself every day, and most days I fail. So I just got to keep up the attempted good work.
Poor first wife. Poor first wife. She even works on him when he goes to sleep, starting putting the little spells on him or whatever.
Oh, sorry, we didn't let Benny finish. Benny, finish telling your story. I got sidetracked.
Oh, I did. No, I said that I ended up, and that's what I said. I ended up pulling a crawfish move. I ran out of that mess as hard as I could in reverse. There was a guy behind me filming it with his phone, and I ran over him backing out of that deal. But the dogs finally got a hold of that line and stretched it out proper.
There goes something else Chris gonna have to cut out of the podcast.
$50 edit.
No, actually, there's no time and place. There's no date. There's no location. There's no nothing.
But you said it. You said it.
Oh, they stretched it?
He didn't say kill.
Hey. Like you stretch a rug.
That was just like our last episode.
Dusted it off.
What's accepted and what's not. What's ethical and what's not to talk about.
Well, there's no footage. Whatever took place, there's no footage. And we can say whatever we want. And everybody's little minds can just dream up whatever photos they want. And good luck putting that on the internet.
This is for entertainment purposes only, guys. Whatever we say,
I'll guarantee you it was entertaining. After we look back on it later, it was entertaining.
Yeah.
Well, Benny, don't feel bad. Chris owes me like
I'm not.
$400 in edit fees for his bad shooting skills on squirrels.
It was a cricket. It was a cricket. Look, the gun was this big. I had to shoot it like this. Horrible.
Oh, there you go. Bill Ehring says nutrias. You guys eat those too, Jeremy?
Yeah, they eat pretty good. Like rabbit.
What is it?
It's a big rat.
Oh.
It lives in the water.
They're a
it's
nuisance.
Like 5 muskrats. Yeah, it's like 5 muskrats all in one.
I think they get about 25 pounds.
Look,
they're big.
You want a controversial subject? I don't know. This rat thing popped in my head is when you have people from the United States, these anti-activists, going over to Vietnam. Is that where they eat the dogs mainly? It's like dogs.
No, it's in Detroit.
Chicago.
and they just hammered down on those guys' traditions as well in a whole nother country. trying to save the dogs, and those dogs are like running rampant over there.
Well, Lord help them if they ever come to South Louisiana, because they eat everything. If it ain't nailed down or it's got hair on it, they'll eat it.
Who's going to survive when we run out of oil and there's nothing else left? Nothing's going to replace oil. Let's just say we run out of oil. It's going to go back to Neanderthal times.
We're not going to run out of oil.
Well, not in our lifetime.
No. The United States has more oil reserves than anywhere else on the planet. And Alaska has more than the rest of the nation, but we're not allowed to go get it. You know, New Mexico, the corner of New Mexico where I live, southeast corner, was the world's largest natural gas producer until we got this tyrant Short Britches in office. And when she started squeezing on it, but you stop and consider the volume of natural gas just in the southeast corner of the state of New Mexico produces more than all the rest of the world. That's a lot of commodity there.
And for all you people wondering why we're talking about oil, it has everything to do because if fuel is $4 a gallon, are you guys hunting 3, 4, 5 times a week, or are you only hunting twice a week? Because it's $80. I just found gas in Casa Grande, $2.35 a gallon. That's what I paid today.
You know where that gas came from, Chris?
New Mexico?
Artesia, New Mexico. Yeah. No, it comes from Arizona, Tucson, and Phoenix. Every bit of their fuel comes from Artesia, New Mexico, in a pipeline.
Mm-hmm. First thing they need to do is open that pipeline back up.
It's still there. I mean, you're talking about the Alaska pipeline. It's open,
big pipeline,
but they don't. Mm-hmm. They can't run the volume through it because they won't let them go in there and do any repairs or replace it. And so, as it's aging, it's getting weaker.
Content warning: the following video contains material that may be harmful or distressing to some audiences.
Anything that Chris or Benny says.
Hey, Brett's pulled his stunts too.
Yeah, I'll give him credit. So, Brett,
why are you making Brett
wearing hair off those mules yet?
No, not as much as I want to.
Have you had to put a shock collar on Bonnie yet? That's what.
No. I tell you what, now videos. I did well with that mule.
Yeah.
I got one of these little. I don't have it here with me. If you watch my last video on my Born 100 Years Too Late, I got this little drone. It's called a Neo, a DJI Neo, and you can take it off from your hand, and it'll follow you. But let me tell you, and film you. And it's good for someone like me, who I do all my filming myself. But that thing makes a lot of noise, a lot of racket. It's like a bumblebee on steroids. It's just wah! I took that thing off from my mule the other day, and I thought, oh boy, here I am miles away from everybody by myself up this nasty canyon. Yeah. Her ears just went back like that, and she was keeping an eye on it, but never bothered her. I filmed myself riding out.
Were you using that one and the one you were filming the hieroglyphics in?
Yes, I was. And then I did a little editing magic by adding, because it doesn't film sound because it makes so much noise. So I took the natural sound from another part of my video and put it on that.
So we've got like a 20 like grenades or machine guns to it, but they won't let us.
Oh, for your police work?
Yeah.
Oh,
it does thermal, and we got a speaker for it and a spotlight. We've been harassing everybody with a spotlight.
Oh, so
we'll have the drone footage over Northeast Louisiana for too long.
Yeah, there you go. Like New Jersey, huh? Well, we just lost Benny.
Mm-hmm.
You watch. because you didn't let him finish his story. Look, Michael said, "Do we get a refund since you cut off Benny's story?" We didn't cut it off. We're going to finish it next week, so you have to come back.
The story was going on too long. We had to curtail it.
He'll be back.
So,
There he
Chris,
is.
I've had folks ask me when your side of the video's coming out.
I've been trying to put it together, and I'm missing a hard drive, and I thought I left it down here, and I have not found it yet.
Mercy. I told them it'd be 6 to 8 months, so you got time.
I have my one camera video, but I don't have my other camera video, and it's driving me crazy. I don't know if I saved it, and I don't remember where I saved it. And I have a bunch of hard drives. Anybody who does YouTube, you have just a bunch of Brett, I bet you if Brett
you have no idea.
Yeah, you can't.
I've been making videos since 2007,
mm-hmm.
and I never get rid of any footage.
Yep.
So
you can't, because you never know when you might have to have something for a rainy day to speak. I know you don't know nothing about rainy days, but
let's throw that in our face.
But
throw that in our face.
Most of it's stuff that I just can't. I mean, it's awful, really. Back when I had some of the first GoPros that came out, and it's like shaking everywhere, has no stabilization in it or anything. But
yeah.
Oh well. Benny, did you ever get to finish your story? Because we are being reprimanded.
Benny,
something terrible.
Grand jury.
They think that we're picking on you.
Oh.
The federal grand jury might request it, Brett.
Lost it in a boating accident.
Some of those statutes and limitations will be up, Benny.
Hey, Jeremy, I know that last time you were wearing a tie, it was a little bit tough circumstances, but next time you want to get dressed up, let me know and I'll join you.
All right, will do.
Dressed up.
I had to shave for that one too, so.
He come on my show the week before.
Oh, I remember seeing that. He was all dolled up.
Where I ignored you?
Yeah,
I wouldn't let you on.
Yeah, I had to leave.
One of our local sheriffs died, so, and it was pretty good, but the general populace didn't know it, that he had, I think, pancreatic cancer, and, just kind of, he was blessed in that part, but
yeah,
had to do the political
That's a long
deal.
time to fight.
That's a very long time.
That's a long time. Yeah, it's a long time.
So, is it time to get into the breeding, to the topic of the show, or should we postpone a little longer?
It's all the experts are here.
So, what about, have you been out coon hunting and making videos or doing anything, or why not?
No. I've been trying to kill deer, fill and freezer. And it won't stop raining.
Have you got any deer slayed?
Oh, yeah.
He keeps throwing that in our face. Up. Yes, Jeremy, you got rain. We know it. Okay, we don't care.
Jeremy's got deer Jeremy's got deer back there like we got jackrabbits, I think.
Yeah, I go grocery shopping. I don't hunt like y'all do.
Yeah.
That's like I send pictures to Jared all the time, like, look, I got 15 right here in front of me.
You know what? I got a text last night up north of here, over in an area that's populated with hoity-toities, and she was literally telling me, hey, you want to go call these lions in because they're having a ridiculous lion problem. And why she was talking to me, she sent me another picture, said this was just posted. Someone was walking around and those lions are just walking around up there. And there is some, it's up north there, Benny. It's below Bloody Basin by quite a ways, but
just
but it's right in the like Cave Creek area, or what is it? I think it's Cave Creek, but those lions are just roaming around.
Cave Creek is right. Well, yeah, but it's right there on Bartlett Lake.
Yeah, exactly where it is. and they're just walking the streets. Like, she literally sent me a Ring doorbell of a guy she knows from the other. She goes, yeah, this was just a few hours ago. And then while she's texting me, she sent me a video and said, this was just posted on Facebook that the guy videoed a lion.
Well, if you
What
can't
the hell,
make it,
Chris?
why don't you send Cody a message and he'll be there?
Man,
Hell,
I brought my dog down. I bring my mule. I got to go look at the area because it's
I
kind
got
of
street smart mutts, Chris. They will run a dog in a neighbor, or a cat or dog, whatever, in the neighborhood. They don't care.
And they always look twice before crossing the street.
Crossing the road. Hell, they'll sleep in the middle of the road, won't get run over.
Yep.
You guys
So
stop and consider. We all, and I've talked about this too. I said I'd always love to tree a lion on somebody's roof, and that'd be cool enough, sure. But you stop and consider the problems of running an urban lion with the fences and all of the different obstacles that you'll run into and all the different smells too. I don't think that those urban lions are that easy to catch.
I've got
it's
a walker dog that will clear a 5-foot fence right now. It's got to have a
Yeah,
top
but
on.
a lion can jump from the ground onto the roof of the house without any slowing down, and he doesn't have
I
to
think
consider it.
what I told her,
think
I
this
said,
sucker
because they want
probably
to,
could too.
well, they want to go call them in. I said, well, good luck. I don't know how PhD them lions are, but she said, I hope your dogs are broke off bobcat because they're infested with bobcats. Them bobcats, I've been on houses up in Desert Mountain over in Scottsdale building. They're framing them, and then bobcats go up there in those attics and have them kittens while they're building the houses.
I'll be dang.
Yeah, they don't care up there. They feed them up there. They, precious. So to take some
About
dogs
like
up there
those.
and run that area would be. There's a lot of there's forestry north. So I
About
think
like those fancy $1 million homes.
yeah. Well, no, this is like paved road stuff, and they're just walking the road. I think if they're coming in at night, eating all the kitty cats or whatever poodles, and then they're going out. And if you went out there early in the morning and probably got out in those woods, got out in the forestry, I got to go look at the area and see what they're doing. You could probably run those washes and try to catch them in those washes, I guess.
You got good.
I don't know the area. I looked
OnX.
at it on OnX, but I text Jared and I'm like, hey, and then I'm talking to him and she sent me that and I said, look, this is just now, like just now.
Yeah,
but it's
Cave
tough
Creek,
area.
Cave Creek is overpopulated now. It's no longer just a little desert community,
Yeah,
and
you're right.
you got all kinds of people from all over. And I just say, hell no, let the lions be. I mean, for one thing, part of the problem is we've been worshiping the predators and the apex predators, especially, for so many years that they're they've they've done away with most of the cattle industry on the Tonto National Forest, and
Well, it's
so that's
sheep
what
and
all that
wild
desert
horses
is.
now.
Well, there's not that many wild horses in that country. There's not all those
No,
ferals over there because there's no Indian reservations. So the
Well, I
only thing
saw
that's
elk
left
while we were up
is
there.
to come into people's. Well, you weren't down there where he's talking about.
now, yeah, it's
But
Apache. I think he's talking about Apache Sigrees up here.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
no, I
that's
was
a
talking
whole
about
different
like
deal.
right there when you come down into from Hebert, and go down south. That's where
Yeah.
we saw more wild horses there than we saw down there with you, Chris, and a
Well,
bunch of
that's
sheep.
because all of those horses started right there behind Heber on the Rodeo Chetasky fire. That's where they started. So, but this other stuff over there by Cave Creek, north of Phoenix on the desert, the only thing those lions have to eat that's a constant supply is people's pets. And that's why they're living in town and being that bold.
Yeah, she just
Makes
sent me
sense.
a picture, and there's a female running with two older cats. Probably her. They're not kittens by far. There's no spots. They're just running around, killing everything, teaching them how to kill. But it's tough in those populated, even close to a populated area, and that's kind of a hoity-toity area. So I'm sure
Yeah.
you tree a lion in the middle of that, you're gonna get a lot of attention. And I'm sure some of them people, just leave them alone. We're in their area, kind of people. That's the
Until they eat
annoying
their
part.
pets or their kids.
Till they get a dog killed in their yard, then they
don't care about kids as long as their little pet don't get killed.
Hey,
call you
somebody
up frantic.
answer Jeremiah's question about how do you deal with a lion scratch? Because those lion scratches can be real bad to fester.
They got that.
Penicillin them up, right?
Yeah, I forget what
How
kind
bad
of.
is
I
the
got it
scratch? How bad is the scratch? Does it need stitches? But you always should start with peroxide
to wash it
and
out.
hang on to
Yeah.
your dog. Yeah, that's right. And then go in. If you chase it up with some kind of iodine-based medicine and keep it washed out pretty regular with that, it'll heal up the best.
So peroxide kills everything, good and bad. Alcohol kills the bad, right? Is that what it is?
Right.
Or is it vice versa? Is that
Alcohol burns.
what it is? Alcohol burns.
Kills the new tissue too.
So does iodine. That stuff that Jimson Violet. What was that stuff, Benny? You remember it?
Scarlet Red?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jensen Violet. Man,
Scarlet Red's good stuff.
that
Gypsum Violet, I think, is what you're talking about, Brett. That it had violet in its name, and
my dad would chase me down if I had a cut, put it on me, and of course he used it on the horses too. And
probably burn like hell.
Burn like hell. I'd rather have the infection.
Oh, so it's the same thing as that old Mercurochrome.
Mercurochrome, yeah, and it changes the color. I mean, it's awful stuff.
Anyways,
but I would just say you got to stay after those scratches. If they're not bad enough to get sewed up, and if they are bad enough to sew it up, get with it. There used to be, I don't know if there's any out there anymore or anything like it. There used to be a thing on the market called liquid skin, and you could put it on a wound, and it would actually seal it up and cover it up and let it grow back slow.
I'd probably give them a shot of penicillin too.
Yeah, oh yeah, and give it. Don't just give
one. LA-200.
LA-200 and follow up like for 4 days, something like that, so it has a chance to do its thing. And they don't
all the god awful mess that they've got in those claws.
Yeah, all that bacteria they have under their claws.
Yep.
Okay, are we going to talk about breeding dogs now?
Yeah, it's been an hour. It's been an hour now, so we're good.
Pablo says he'll come take care of Stinker, Chris.
I bet he will.
High Desert Outdoor Productions. Where are you located at? High Desert Outdoor Productions. Who is this, Chris?
Wait, I know who that is.
I should, but I don't.
No, why is it? I'm drawing. He told me this is me.
I like his logo, his little High Desert thing with an elk head on there.
Who is it? Tell me who you are. He told me who he was.
Or just tell us here in the comments. Don't be bashful.
Yep, can't hide now.
Oh, dang it. I know who it is. He texted me.
I think cat scratches are worse than puncture from a tooth. And they're bad enough that even Ted Nugent wrote a song about it.
Punctures are bad though because they don't drain or anything.
He's the New Mexico houndsman guy. Damn it.
Well, that's where I should know him.
I know. He the other day I was answering and when we got off, he said, "Hey, it's me." And I was like, "Oh, sorry." So that's like Tim B. He's went by 18 names on this show.
He changes once a week.
Is that your friend?
Tim Brink.
Is that the one you argue with?
From Idaho.
No.
Oh no, different guy.
Oh, you're talking about.
I think that guy was
Terry
on
Metler
here.
disappeared off the face of the earth. I haven't seen him.
Well, who's River Rats Gotcha?
Where's it at?
I hadn't seen that one before.
President of New Mexico Hound Association. There you go, Brett.
The New Mexico.
In Los Lunas, of all places, he's tough.
That guy needs And he plays the guitar. He's supposed to be sending us some riffs so I can build us an intro here. John, you probably forgot about it.
I've been posting his stuff on my Instagram and Facebook, so
Mm-hmm.
He
got
needs
some
to
pretty
be
good
at
stuff.
John stuff.
he needs to be at Young, Arizona on August 21st, 22nd, and 23rd.
He'll come.
If I can drive 20 hours and be there, anybody else has no excuse. And Wayne came from
Yeah.
farther than that.
Yeah, and Wayne even packed up everything he owned and brought it.
Kids and dogs and everything.
He moved. Yeah.
Nobody
Looked
has
like
an
the Bill-
excuse.
He was
Looked
moving
like
from
the Beverly
Oregon.
Hillbillies.
Well, he was moving from Washington, Montana, and just stopped by Young, Arizona.
Yeah, on
Mainly
the
to
way.
get a dog from Brett
Yep.
for his daughter.
Yep.
And to get me this cool banner behind me.
Yep. Now I got my golf clubs with the scope on it hanging in my office at the house.
Yeah, he tried to take me to the golf course, y'all, but it was like 20 miles from us, and he's like, it's a little late in the day.
Yeah.
They're probably playing golf by now.
And we're driving on we're driving on 300 road, which is reservation.
Right on the res.
Oh boy. Let's talk. You know what? We should probably talk. There's a guy, I'm going to get him on the show. Reese, he's from back east. He's been talking a lot about trespassing, and you know, some people get on there and like, I'll shoot your dog and all that stupid stuff. And then of course I get on there and like, you're just a troll and you can talk all you want here, but I doubt you're going to say that to somebody's face right there with their dog, because you're going to get.
Well, if they shoot my dog, I'll own them, because that dog is worth $100,000 for me.
Mm-hmm. So there's been a lot of trespassing talk, and I get on there and I say, listen guys, I'm from Arizona. I don't deal with trespassing. The worst trespassing I have to deal with is probably reservation, because it's just not the same here. We have a lot of public land, so it's not the same. But I still understand trespassing, because when you get on the res, that's a whole sovereign nation. That's a whole different country.
Yeah, exactly.
If they want to put you in jail and take everything you own, they can absolutely do it, because it's the reservation. So it's probably, I don't know if it's scarier, but you know, put me in jail. I'm going to end up in jail anyways if you shoot my dog. I probably, and I'm not a troll, and I'll say the same thing to you in person.
You know,
but I get it though. You get if you have a bad trespassing situation with some houndsmen that just come on and maybe do it all the time, and they're in an area that is just constant. But
well, it has to be posted. It has to be posted every so many feet for you to get any trouble for it.
See, ours used to be that way, and now if you own a piece of property, it's automatically posted. But we have the right to retrieve. But there's other stipulations that go along with that right to retrieve. You know, you can't go armed on that person's property. You
can't just cut the fence.
Game. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't cut fences. You can't do any of that. But you have the right to retrieve your dog, and you have ample enough time to retrieve that dog before they can actually take some sort of civil liability against you. So.
I mean, most of the places I hunt, I mean, I cross private property, but I know all the ranchers and stuff. I mean, I don't have any. I say all of them, most all of them. I don't have any trouble. I mean, they actually, you know, I'm not on a buggy. I'm not in a four-wheel drive or anything like that. I'm usually on a mule, and they don't care. Matter of fact, you know, a lot of them, I'll call them up and they'll have me drop, you know, block out, you know, salt block or something out, or, you know, check that well at section 9 while you're out and about, so you make sure it's, you know, still pumping water.
Make sure the solar panel's still there.
Relationship with your neighbor.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's what I do. I said I'm just making circles anyway. One guy, you know, he was kind of upset with me, and I talked to him for a long time. I said, if you got fence you want me to go check, or you need something looked at, or whatever, you know, I'm more than happy to do it.
Well, see, that's like where I hunt. I hunt about 1,000 acres. and there's probably 400 that's, forested. Most of it's ditches or cow pasture, and the neighbors are National Wildlife Refuge, and then I've got 2 actual neighbors that own property, and I don't drive on their property. I have, but with their permission. If I have to go over to get a hard-headed dog that won't come back from being toned, then I walk. And it is one of them is you don't want to go over there. It's the worst country on the face of the earth, and you're just about belly crawling for however far you got to go. So you're hoping your dog's tone broke. And but for the most part, I don't have any problems with my neighbors.
I haven't in a long time. I mean, well, matter of fact, me and Benny, the one guy that I did have problems with, we threw a lion on his porch.
Supposedly.
Edit.
I told Benny we're going to go show him. Well, Benny was there. You seen how I reacted to that guy. So
I said, Brett, let me take care of this. As soon as he says, here comes that guy, and I looked, and all the hair that he doesn't have was already stuck up on the back of his neck.
I didn't like that guy. Well, before he got that ranch, I had run of it. I could go all over the place. And then when I talked to him on the phone, I was real nice, and I talked to his wife, and his wife was really nice to me. And she said, oh, yeah, well, yeah, we need a lion hunter coming in through here because it's really good lion country. And
yeah, it's good lion country.
And then when he talked to me like I was just some kind of rat, idiot, whatever, And I told him, I said, I'm friends with all your neighbors and everything. And matter of fact, I got the keys to their gates. And he still talked to me like I was an idiot. And I never forgot it.
We're just like it.
You're not going to tell him the rest of the story?
Did he not want you there?
Well, he didn't. I don't know. I can't really remember, but that was...
I know what the problem. This guy was a hardcore retired cop.
That ain't got a whole lot to do with it.
I was gonna say.
Oh no. There's an attitude that comes forth out of those.
He must have worked for the police department or state police.
You're speaking to one right up. You're speaking to one.
No, I get it.
That guy over there.
I get it. I get it. I know that.
We got the law here with us, Benny.
You've been through the academy, Jeremy. You see the guys. Those
Mine
guys
was
when
different.
they go into the academy.
It's certain academies. It's certain academies.
Okay.
Certain academies,
Yes,
they brainwash you like the military. And they come out and they're like,
This guy went through Phoenix's academy.
Oh, yeah.
So
that explains.
So then,
yeah.
And so then, Brett's not telling you the rest of the story. This took place over the telephone, and Brett's getting all fired up, and his red hair's starting to catch on fire. It was orange in color, and he says, "My God, why don't you tell me where you are? I'll come beat your ass right now." And so Brett even followed a cattle truck in to hope to find this guy.
Well, he started calling me sir.
I think Brett told me this story.
That was after the fire and brimstone came into effect.
But Brett's right though and he says, well, here's how you get in. If you guys get a lion going and he goes in there, go around this way and there's a key over here and
he was
that. And we didn't do that. We didn't do that.
No, but we did take a lion, put it on his porch.
Wayne, we can't tell.
The lion was dead when we took him there.
Oh, jeez.
Edit.
Allegedly.
That's $50 edit fee, Brent.
Allegedly, he was dead.
Allegedly, all this took place. Whew, that was a close one. For sure.
There's no, as Benny would say, there's no pictures or video proof.
That's exactly right. At this point, it's all hearsay, and I hear you've been saying it a lot.
I hear you've been saying.
Statute of limitations is up on that one.
Now hold on, somebody's talking about gingers here. I thought this guy was my friend.
He said the other guy got beat up by a ginger as a kid. That's why he
Oh.
hates you.
Gingers. It's another one
My
of those
grandpa
words.
was a ginger, and he was pretty
That's a
hot
G word. The ginger is like the G word. It's like the
It comes,
N-word of redheads.
it comes from being a redhead as a kid. I mean, I was raised in Corrales as a redhead, and I've heard it all. Let me tell you what.
There just ain't many there.
And you didn't.
There was none.
you
I was the
didn't
only
learn how-
one.
You didn't learn cholo, did you?
I learned a lot of things.
Learn how to be tough.
Well, no, they just
Or
made
dumb,
fun of
one
me.
or the other.
When you're just teased day in and day out.
That's why Chris and I give you a couple days off in between our phone calls.
Alternate.
It doesn't
Right.
bother me anymore. It really doesn't.
I understand where you're coming from because Jared and Casey and Jeremiah, they tease me pretty regular.
Because of your accent?
No, they send me lines on a tree, on a rock. I'm like,
All
yeah,
right,
y'all can do that
Trevin
while I'm
Hall.
not there.
Trevin Hall says we've been here
Oh.
over an hour and a half, and it's time to get on it.
Leave it to
Line
somebody
breeding.
from
Are you
Florida
asking-
to call
is
us
he-
out.
Is he asking what line breeding is?
Line breeding and inbreeding. How close will you breed? Father, daughter? Brother, sister?
Don't they say,
I'd say
that the
aunt
father
to a niece
daughter-
or nephew and uncle to a niece. That's about as close as I'd go.
What
Chris?
happens
I don't
if you
like-
go closer?
I don't like breeding clothes. I don't like breeding. I got Dirty. Dirty's like the father of all my dogs right now. That's why I've been kind of filling out for another dog to come in.
You were trying to
To
pimp my
breed.
dogs out while I was there.
I did. I was like, I got a jipping heat right now. I need something just new,
Need some outside blood.
But there's
I'm like,
there's
take
guys-
your pick. There's 4.
well, there's guys that there's a lot of people. There is people that inbreed, but I'm not a big fan of inbreeding.
Well, let me
Honestly.
just say this. You saw that cur dog I had? I know he didn't
Yeah.
get out much while you were, he's got
Shooting
double
squirrels.
dew claws on all 4 legs. That is a sign of inbreeding.
Double dew claws is a sign of inbreeding.
Double.
On all 4
Yeah.
legs.
On all 4. Now, I know you've heard Ernest Hemingway's cats down in the Florida Keys.
Yeah.
6 toes. Same
Yep.
thing.
Well,
I
I
don't-
mean, I'm trying to think.
Ninja. Wayne. Damn it, Wayne. The Ginger Ninja.
Wayne must not be at work tonight.
I don't like inbreeding too much. I won't.
Well, I think it brings out all the bad genes that you don't want.
Yeah, I
Well, it
don't
can.
mind. I don't mind down the line, 2 or 3 down the line. I just try not to inbreed at all. If I get I have this Vodka dog, great hunting dog, but they have that touch of skittish to them. Like you go to pet them and they flinch. And I'm like,
Don't
gosh,
like it.
dang. I hate that because it's like a dog you pop in the head. And when you're training dogs, you try not to smack them in the head. If they jump up on me, I'll smack them in the nose. I don't like a dog jumps up on me. Halado just did that today, and I whacked him right in the nose. And
That dog loves you, Chris.
he's that dog. There's stories behind that dog, but line breeding is when you take lines from. I was just explaining to my sister today. I said, you have this dog. They were going to keep these puppies. I said, don't keep the puppies. Sell the puppies and get another line, another female, and then sell those puppies because you have one male and they have one female. This is Labradors, bird dogs. They have one male, one female. And I said, you keep these puppies, you can't breed them back to any of this. So sell those puppies, get another female, and then sell those puppies, get another male. And you can you can kind of go back and forth because this male can breed this female, which means now that this line can breed this line. So you kind of have your just little square that you can come in and out of without technically inbreeding.
No damaging.
Well, my dogs,
you're working with.
they all go back to 4 dogs. And then one outcross, which is the Jack dog that I got from Cody, that's half running walker and half blue tick. And then I've got one full blood running walker that came from Cody here that I haven't bred him to anything yet. I'm still waiting to see what he does. He's different than there's no doubt those dogs are different than what I got. I mean, he's a lot farther ranging dog. So far, either he doesn't have the nose my dogs have, or he's not as trashy as my dogs are.
He ain't gonna work out if you ain't trashy, Brett.
I will breed my long pine walkers a couple generations or more apart to keep the lineage. I don't think that's a bad couple generations apart. I don't. I think I've bred a couple, whether 2 or 3 generations apart, where you maybe take her and you bred her to another dog, and then that dog bred another dog. So they're still, let's say, third cousins or second cousins, or sisters, where you're kind of separated.
Are they from Arkansas or Alabama?
That's a big difference. That makes all the difference, But, and I was just talking to somebody today. I don't remember who it was. And I said, if you want to just hunt, get a dog and spay him and neuter him. And then just go get another pup from somewhere and just hunt him. Don't worry about that crap. And that's what Jared kind of does.
Just get all females.
That's what Casey does. He cuts all his males and gets he outcrosses from somebody else's male.
I won't cut dirty.
All females.
Because he always throws good puppies that love to trail and tree. But he's also 11 years old here.
Well, that's what you want to keep. I mean, if that's what. I mean, my dogs all trail. I mean, they all cold trail, and I won't hardly keep a dog that won't cold trail. But they all go back to the same stuff. So
you do understand that there are COI tests available now. Buying different dogs don't always mean different bloodline. No,
that's
but
true.
He's right. But I mean, what are the chances you're going to get a father, daughter from? You know what I mean? Even if you bred and these guys have the same dogs, there's probably gonna be some sort of separation. I'm not saying it don't happen, but I am not a genetics guy. Like, I don't really care about genetics. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
Benny, you're on.
Genetics.
You're over here.
Apologize.
You're on, Benny. That they call it. He's.
I'm gonna say
reiterate all this.
Come on, Benny.
I don't
Speak
care about
up.
paper genetics.
I've been waiting my turn because I don't have a problem with breeding litter mates. I don't have a problem with breeding them straight on top of each other. What I have a problem with is people that do it without goals, without comprehensive goals, and without being real harsh in their judging of the characteristics that come out of these crosses. For a long time, not for a long time, it was maybe 3 generations. Larry Hendricks' dogs, some of them developed an issue. And I had one dog that she was setting the world on fire when she was 11 weeks old. And she fell over dead at 1 year old. And I went to Hendricks and I said, "Hey, what's going on here?" He says, "I was wondering how she was going to work out." He said, did she have a short chest, a short rib cage? And I said, yes. He said, "I've traced it back to this one male dog. He throws this gene that they'll be short, maybe 2 ribs in their chest cavity. So it's a lot smaller area from front to back. And those dogs live a year, and that's that." And I said, "So what are you going to do?" And he says, "Well, I don't know. What do I need to do?" I said, "You need to knock those pups in the head." He says, well, I can't stand to knock a pup in the head, and they're good dogs when they're hunting. I said, well, then cut them. Spay them or neuter them so that you get that gene out of there and don't use that dog anymore in your breeding program. And so just like that, he cleaned that out of the system. But you've got to be harsh in your overall judgment of your dogs. You got to look for qualities. I mean, if you guys could see the litter of pups that I saw in Steve Smith's yard, and I don't know where the pups are, but those pups, just when they ran across the yard, I told Steve, I said, it's too bad you knew I was coming. I said, I'd have stole every one of those pups and left. But Steve focuses on the breeding. You know, he wants certain characteristics, and he does look for an outcross every now and then. And Brett, your jazz dog, was 50% Hendrix line bred stuff, and then an outcross. Her father was an outcross, but and I talked to Steve Smith a lot about breeding and this stuff, and I liken it to you get in cattle, you have a bunch of cows that you've raised yourselves, and then you go to somewhere and you look for a bull with specific characteristics, and you get that bull. Well, those offspring from that first cross aren't necessarily the best producers, but when you go into the next cross, you get what they call a hybrid vigor. And those cattle just go ape shit crazy
Or they
in
call
their
that an
production.
F1 cross, isn't that what they call
Yeah.
it?
That's exactly right. That's the name. And you can do the same thing with dogs, but you just have to be extremely vigilant and don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to anybody. This is what
Benny,
I'm seeing.
I
Cut it
got a
off.
I got a
how
good
often would you breed that close though before you cut it off?
You know, it's not something that I practice all the time. It's just in specific
Trait. When you're
rare
looking for that certain
occasions.
trait.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to do it.
No, I get you there. I like, but when some people just breed. Tell me if I'm wrong here. They're just breeding for the money to say, oh, this is this line. Me, if I was to
Oh, yeah.
inbreed, I would inbreed, but I wouldn't breed father daughter and then father granddaughter daughter, then father. I think if you start just breeding that bad,
Well,
you're
Well,
gonna
you can
end up
put it
with
in too
bad.
thick. Yeah.
well, yeah,
yeah,
eventually you have
sure.
to go for some outside blood, I would think, but you
Mm-hmm.
you
Absolutely,
but you
because
got to keep looking for the
if you
same traits that you've been breeding for.
that's true. And then it's just like way back in the big game houndsman pages when some of those idiots that say there's not a pup worth over $100, every breeding is a 50-50 crapshoot. That's such a bunch of crap. And if that's the way those people see things, and if that's all the knowledge they have, they should leave the breeding to someone else and be willing to spend $1,000 on a pup so that they don't have to feed it till it's 2 or 3 years old to decide that they've wasted their time and money.
See, what I think is, there you go.
Guarantee.
What I think is, if you breed best to best, I don't give a dang if they're Eastern registered dogs or if they're Western line bred dogs. If you breed best to best, it's all opportunity that makes that dog. It ain't 50-50. How many times that dog's been to the woods or been on a mountain looking for the game he's out to pursue? If he's going to make it, it's all up to you. You show him what he's supposed to be doing. Now, yeah, there are
Well,
exceptions to that rule.
that's true, but when you get into a different class of dog, um, a prime example is, let me tell you, river rats, those dogs, none of those dogs had a natural bobtail. All of my dogs got a bobtail with my pocket knife. But you look at Steve Galentine over in California. He was breeding those dance walkers. and he tattooed those dogs and he kept records on those dogs, and he had done it so precisely for so many years that he knew what to expect when he crossed two dogs. And that's how good he was at it. But he did it as a science, not as a crapshoot.
Well,
So,
see, I think that's the way these Eastern dogs are. If these dogs don't start by 6 weeks, 6 months old, they're junk, and that's the way people look at them. You know, they're not used to having to wait till they're a year or 15 months old for them to start. You know, I guess that's what society has trained us to believe, or
well,
you know,
what are
we
you
want
talking
it
about?
now instead
Are
of
you
later.
talking about competition
Yeah,
dogs, though?
yeah.
That's a whole different ball game.
But
Well,
still,
but they still
it's
breed those
not.
dogs tight. If
It's
you
not.
look at the lineage, and if people are being honest in their registry of those Walker dogs, there there's a lot of real close breeding in those Walkers. And what
I
was
was talking about how fast they start.
well, yeah, that's true too. But you know, I've
They
seen
bred
some
the nose
some
out of them.
lion
That's how
dogs.
fast they started them.
I've seen lion dogs that were made in their own mind at 6 months old. Now they needed a lot of guidance and they needed a lot of opportunity. But when you start, when you get into a different class of dog,
Warner Glenn
and
give
that
them till
I
2 years old.
And
sure,
I think that's a
but
good idea because
I've
they
seen
don't
dogs that
reach
didn't make
maturity
it.
till they're 2.
I've seen dogs that didn't make it till they were 5, and almost every time in the right dog, it was because they got screwed up by their handler when they were young. And I've been guilty of that myself.
Well, see, I've seen these
So,
dogs get burnt out before they're a year old because they were pushed too hard.
Push too hard.
Yeah.
That's
We
like
I
talk
just
the,
about
know
That the
that.
dog's fault? No, that's the handler's fault. 90%
But
of
if
these
you,
dogs' problems are the handler's fault.
that's my
I
dogs. I
spent
guarantee that.
the first, I don't know, I don't know how many years I spent just getting dogs. And this guy had some dogs, and that guy had some dogs, and these dogs could do what I wanted to do, but not. It's like going to a track meet at a high school versus going to the Olympics. Do you want to do you want your dog to be able to compete at the high school level, or do you want him to get a gold medal in the Olympics? And if that's, if you're looking for a higher class of dog, then you've got to get yourself in a higher circle. And it's
And be willing to
people are
spend a lot of
intimidated.
money doing it.
Well, not necessarily. Sometimes yes. But for
Well,
every dog that I ever got from Larry Hendricks, whether it was an adult dog or a pup, I paid for 50% of them. So that's not a bad average because half of them I got for free. And Larry never sold a dog for less than 10 grand.
I mean, that's
We've
the
had
Pups
same
were a
shepherds.
thousand.
same over here. You know, you're paying for bloodlines, you're paying for expectations, basically. You
potential.
know, and
Chris, when Jared Nichols chimed in to sent you a text or something, didn't he? We were talking about Bolt, and then he brought up that Luther dog, and I knew Luther too, and that little female of mine that died at a year old, she had that short chest. Before she died, I was looking for Luther because in her lineage, she had Luther about 5 generations back, and already knew Luther. And so I set the hunt out looking for Luther, and finally Steve Smith said the last he knew, Jared Nichols had him, and Jared lived over. I think Jared was living at Chino Valley at the time. But I finally got a hold of Jared Nichols, and Luther had just died 2 months prior to that. But I wanted to go back, and so some of these guys are saying 5 generations in, I wanted to put Luther back on top of that little female. But Luther was dead, and that female didn't make it either. So, But I have always been intrigued by high caliber genetics and how to maintain them and what to look for in conformation of the dog. You don't want a big sloppy gangly bow-legged crap machine go out there, go, I'm gonna go look for a bear, I'm gonna look for a lion. I hope the hell we catch one today. You know, you want something that's shiny. You want something that you're not afraid to breed to, or you get in a group of people, they may say, hey, can I breed to that dog? That's the kind of dog we're looking at. And it's not just the dog's ability, it's what the dog looks like in appearance as well. You look at Doc Bars or any of these, look at some of these high dollar horses that have been, and none of those things were sloppy built.
Mm-mm.
You know,
Nobody bred to Benji.
but you're also talking about a higher caliber of houndsmen, which these days you get people who, and here's where the lines probably get a little bit watered down or thrown into this big mix of different colors, is you get guys that get into hounds and they give a bunch of hounds. People give them their hounds, and it's usually not the good hounds, and then they're not dog savvy. They're getting bred, and then the lines just kind of go out there, and maybe out of one of those you'll get a good line or a good pup. But I think the caliber of houndsmen these days aren't hard hunters.
You're exactly right, Chris. You get into the rare occasion, and there's still some of them out there, and I've never met him. Brett has met him, a young man named Thomas. Thomas is in his 30s now. And if Thomas was one of these guys that wanted to beat his chest and get the spotlight on him, he would be the next guy that's the caliber of all these old timers that have died. Everything about Thomas is spot on. And you met him, Brett.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And there's guys out there like that still. I mean,
there are still, and
they're busy hunting.
Is, yeah, they're all quiet about it. They're just doing what they're doing. And so if you can ever get into that circle or get into somebody's campfire like that and just be a human, those people still help other people.
Yeah, yeah. If they know you and they know that you're, going to go about things the right way.
I tell you what, and that goes back to what we were talking about earlier about these interviews, because we don't have the opportunity to wander into someone's campfire like Ben Lilly did, show up, eat, talk, and leave.
I second. I beg to differ. I have. 3 of y'all. I've infiltrated 3 of y'all.
I know. I'm waiting for my subpoena, my affidavit.
Well,
something.
The one thing about it, after he met us face to face, he shaved off his facial hair so we wouldn't recognize him in a lineup.
Exactly right. I just think that these, like I was saying, is the interviews is the best way right now, and we have the opportunity because of technology that when you sit down and you listen to those guys, just listening to those guys and picking up that little bit of advice. Would I love to sit in a campfire and ask them 1,000 questions? Heck yeah.
Oh yeah.
Of course you would, but
and I don't try.
Yeah. Well, there's not many people that are going to travel 20 hours just because they have some time off. They're just going to sit around the house and fiddle around, But to travel 20 hours, that's you're ahead of 80% of the people out there that don't do that or won't do that. Well, we talk about it all the time. Like, there's days I wake up.
If I tell somebody I'm going to do something, about dang, I'm going to do it.
Well, there's days I wake up and it's windy outside. I'm like, I don't want to hunt the wind. But then there's those guys that wake up and it's thunderstorming and they're still out there doing something. Look at Cody King. He's a prime example. What Brett was talking about. There was a lion 2-3 hours away, and Brett was like, "Gosh, dang, 2-3 hours, 16 hours
old." Yeah.
For for Cody, and he came and ran it.
Oh yeah.
And rubbed it in. That's what's bad, Brett. You let him rub it in.
Oh yeah. I just sat there and took it.
And he's not even retired.
No, he's got a business to run. I wish Anderson asked about Storm. I wish I would have got my solo dog collected. I wish I would have known how potent his offspring would be, and I didn't get him collected. I should have.
Jared Nichols
was
talked
young
about that AI.
Yeah.
And he's serious.
That
he
was
has it.
early in your career, Brett.
Yeah,
You
I just didn't
know.
know. I didn't know, and then but what he produced, I mean, I'm not going to drop names or anything, but there's a lot of these guys that are successful lion hunters now that have that blood in their bloodlines.
I've got a friend of mine that's got a pretty potent. He's a blue dog, but he's crossbred. That he's bred 3 times, and their times have been a live breeding. It's just straight AI. Has him collected and sends out straw.
That's what I should have done. I mean, and now I got Booger, and Booger's produced a lot of good dogs too, but he's already, 12 or 13 years old, so I think he's probably too old to collect.
And the lines don't.
Yeah.
The lines don't stop there.
No, I mean, my dogs are fairly tight bred. I mean, I never, like I said, this Jack dog is really the only outside blood that I've got, and I've got, I've got pups out of him, and then I've given, Wayne has one that has Jack's blood in it, and then out of all my old stuff, and then I got most of those pups to guys, some outfitters who hunt pretty hard, and that's the whole deal, is to get them out there and say this is what they are, but I want feedback. I want to know how they perform, and if there's any faults or flaws in them, that.
You see what Casey put there? The woods are full of them. They just they don't have to tell the world how smart they are. That's exactly right. Because I think, and that's just brought on because of there's so many hunters out there. There's so many people out there doing it and thumping their chests, but it gets back to what we were talking about in a previous deal, when you're drawing a lot of unnecessary attention because of the need to be the biggest banny rooster on the fence post, crowing the loudest, wanting the most attention. And so what it's done is pushing a lot of the real successful guys even farther back into the shadows because they don't want to be they don't want other people to see them as part of that crowd.
What does it cost to have one collected and the semen stored? Does anybody know?
I don't. I got one
Jared
collected.
Jared was talking about that, but he was saying it's a difference of, remember he was talking how he had some semen collected and it was in a place that closing down. So they were transferring it all and he was really worried about it. But I know the difference he was saying there's a big difference between just turkey basting them or surgically implanting, basically, that it was a better success rate when you,
Sure.
So it gets up there pretty expensive. I don't know how much it is to store it and collect it.
Be like that fertility doctor that was taking all those women in and using his own semen on them.
One person did a 23andMe and had 600 brothers and sisters.
For sure.
Dewey Cox.
Stored and insured. I pay $300 and have it stored and insured at a clinic, and then High Desert says $1,500 to $2,000.
Wow.
I don't think that much here because they do it pretty regular around here.
Storage is $80 a year. But it's never, you'll always find another good line. It never just stops. There's always going to find another good line. So
But what happens? Sorry, Chris. Here I'm
No,
interrupting
go ahead.
again. Go ahead. I mean, what do you think if somebody had collected newt? How much do you think his semen would bring,
How
Benny?
much ever the market could bear.
No, you'd have to
I
go
don't. I
newt.
don't know. I don't know because there's been other dogs, just like they're saying. There's always another dog. Now
Well,
we get caught up with nude but then there was that bolt dog and there's very few
Bolt, newt, yeah.
dogs that was
there's
out of bolt.
So they didn't
There's
produce what they
always
were.
dogs.
They didn't produce what they were.
but the 20-year-olds ain't gonna be worth nothing. But you know somebody that knew that dog, or knew the story of that dog, or knew everything about it. That's where that guy's gonna be like, man, let me have some of that,
I'd-
and that's where the
That's
That's when
why
it's
I
gonna be
said
worth the
whatever the
money.
market can bear.
I would pay
You know.
$1,000 to get one of these females bred to newt's semen, however you want to say that. I'd pay $1,000. Easy.
AI'd.
And that's
Yeah.
fairly cheap too, though.
You
Brett,
think so?
know.
Yeah.
Well, I know some of these eastern coon dog breeders.
Yeah, but that's a
they're
different.
charging.
That's a
I
different.
know,
Yeah.
but
They can also
they're
go to a
charging $1,000 a puppy.
yeah, but they can also go to a
Junk dog
competition and win.
and win that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well,
what
Jeremy,
I'm saying is, yes, sir.
the last time I had lion dogs, pups, and anything else, those pups were $1,000 at 5 weeks old. And if they got any older than that, this price started going up. And there's a certain point where you just didn't sell one. And that same line of dogs now, I've heard that sometimes they've been offered for they buyers have offered $6,000 for some of those pups. I don't know,
Well, that's
I wasn't
basically
there
the
in that
same
deal.
thing. That's the same thing that's happening here.
Yeah.
It's word of mouth is spread to where there's just one blue tick that it's I think it's 1,500 to breed to him, and then the puppies go from whatever you name your price, but that's because people are
But
willing to pay it.
Well, yeah. I mean,
well, and that's
yeah, market and
And you're
everything
not,
else
and
has.
it's a, it should be a guarantee, like what we were talking about earlier. You know, is it a 50-50 crapshoot? No, I mean it's not.
it's
Opportunity, I
not a
believe.
guarantee either, but you're
Right,
increasing your odds.
right.
Yeah.
You're increasing your odds.
But you don't always know what's going to happen. I mean, I
Well, every dog in that litter could die.
Sure.
You know,
Absolutely.
before you ever sold the first one,
look
and
at
it's
look at
not. They don't guarantee that you're gonna have a live litter.
look at the horse world. Look at Doc Bar. Doc Bar was a racehorse that was slow, but look at any of your cutting bred horses. They all go back to Doc Bar.
Doc
Yeah.
Bar, every one of
We
them.
got a thumbs down.
Or
Who
that's
the
every
hell?
time.
Stop it, Chris Powell. We know it's you. Somebody. Who knows? It's probably Terry.
That's because you're blind.
I'm blind. I don't know.
But guys, um, when I had what made me look at the whole dog world different was when Richard Dickerson gave that pup to my son, and that pup came out of Popeye. That was the last Popeye's blood, and I just thought this is an extremely good bred dog, and I've got to up my game, or I've wasted this dog that Dickerson gave my son. And so that's when I started really digging in and kicking the bushes and not just talking to these guys and not just being pals. I found out where Hendrix lived, and I drove up and pulled up into his yard at 7 o'clock in the morning and said, "This is what I'm here for." And he said, "Really? Well, what makes you this and that?" So he started interviewing me, and I finally said, "Look, are we gonna? We just need to cut to the chase." And he says, "Have you got this dog with you?" I said, "Yeah." I went and got her. And she had 3 ticks on her, so he chewed my ass and gave her a 7 dust bath. But that's, I thought, well, this isn't going anywhere. But that's where Hendrix and I met. And it was because I had decided that I was going to go somewhere and change the direction of my dog program. And Larry and I became real good friends.
But you were willing to change your program. You were willing
I
to do something different to make yourself better.
absolutely.
Hmm.
You look when Tiger Woods was on top of the world in his golf, but he wasn't as good as he thought he could be. And so he went through a downtime where he changed the way he held the club, the way he swung it, everything, and he had to retrain himself to get better. And if you're not
Damn
willing to
it.
change your game, then don't be bitching about everybody else around you doing something different.
I got to change my game.
You know, and
You
sometimes
already
it's the
have. You got a better mule.
sometimes it's the
No,
small things.
my jet mule was a good mule. Oh,
Some
sorry.
sometimes
We
it's the
we
small
changed it.
things that you don't think about. When I do PI work,
Small
I get into
tweaks
a
bring big peaks.
yes. Well, sometimes I get into a case and I'm like, it's driving me crazy. Why can't I do this? I have this stupid PI book, um, dummies, PI private investigator for dummies, and I'll read through that book again and think, damn, that's just a simple thing. That's like beginner stuff that you have to go back to sometimes because you're so enthralled in trying to do better. You're trying all this stuff, but sometimes you have to step back to basics and start
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, just reevaluate everything.
Hmm. Maybe sometimes you try too hard. You're looking for that name, you're looking for that color, you're looking for this, but sometimes you just got to step back, start over,
I
and change your plan.
A guy asked me one time, I took him lion hunting with me a couple times, and he said, if I wanted to get lion dogs, what would you suggest I do? I said, how much money have you spent on that bunch of turd machines you got right now? He says, I think I've got about $12,000 in them. I said, can you sell them and get your $12,000 back or close? He said, yeah, probably. I said, start there. When you don't have any more dogs in your yard, call me. Save your money and I'll help you. He never got rid of one dog and he never caught a lion. He didn't want
Was
to reevaluate and start from scratch.
He
But
wasn't willing to
I did
start
it.
over.
Yeah. But just like I said, the cheapest, the cheapest, the cheapest, the cheapest, and somebody intervened and said, in the long run. Well, so do you want to spend 10 or
That was me.
15 years figuring this out? Or do you want to take it from somebody that spent 10 or 15 years figuring it out that it's really cheaper to burn your money one time and move forward, and you're not starting at the back of the pack in the stock car race, you're starting on the pole.
Yeah, and maybe that was as good as he wanted to be. That guy, he was. He didn't want to be no
You
better.
know how many you know how many more times I took him lion hunting?
Zero.
0. I didn't want to listen to the belly aching and the crying.
Hell, my
Uh,
dogs are better than that. They call them in.
He teaches them to whine all night, so them lions are like, "What is that? What is that over there?" They have it.
How many of those broke dogs do you think, Benny, that are sold as broke dogs but are broke in broke company?
Hmm.
Man, that's a hard one, Brett, because I've only I've only had one dog that was a made dog that I brought in that I didn't have to do anything except get out of that dog's way. Because almost every dog will try you as the new handler and the rest of the pack as new company. And that last dog that I got from Hendrix, Dora, all I had to do was just take her hunting. She was that much machine. But how many of these dogs are broke for the handler because the handler raised that dog and knows how to read them, and they're not going to be broke for you because you don't know how to read them.
Yep, your broke's different than my broke.
How's that?
No,
Oh, you're just making a statement?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I mean, and a lot of that depends on, you know, you to get 100% broke on lions, you got to catch a lot of lions. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
And what does Brett
I
Vaughn
had a
always
dog
say?
that
They
had,
got to be a little trashy to catch a lion.
Well, you got it. What Benny said right there is my belief. That's so true that it took me a long time to learn. Is to be able to read your dogs. You know, you're going through there and you watch those dogs, and you watch that one dog go up there, and he's on that, you know, that little cut that goes through the mountain or through the mountain, and you watch him start whipping his tail, whipping his tail, whipping his tail. Then pretty soon those other dogs go up there and whip their tail. And the way they react to that scent, you sit there and you think, nah. That's a fox. That's a fox. And you just, it's something you learn. And then you can just holler at them and say, hey, come on, guys, let's go. And they leave it. Now, if you make a mistake, like old Booger, if it's a lion, if you holler at him, or even Al, you holler at them and say, hey, come on, guys, let's go. They're not going to listen to you. They know what they're supposed to be trailing. That doesn't mean they're not going to try. Huh?
I was going to say they'll look at you and say, "Can you smell this?"
Yeah. Now that doesn't mean they're not going to try to trail other stuff too.
What'd that old man tell you?
Which one?
Was it Ollie Barney said, "Can you smell what them dogs are smelling?"
Yeah, I can't see it and I can't smell. No, Mike Dillard told me that. Riley Miller's son-in-law. I remember this was back a long time ago. And they came up and hunted with me. Him and a guy from Oklahoma hunted with me for a week. And I didn't know, anything. I had those dogs. And he had, and of course Mike had some really good dogs. We were up there on the side of the mountain and they were trying to trail something. I said, what is it? What do you think it is, Mike? What is it? He looked at me and said, I can't smell it and I can't see it, so I don't know. And that was it. He ignored me the rest of the week, I think.
Go away, kid. You're bothering me.
Yeah.
It's all about how much effort you want to put into it and how far you want to go. What you're willing.
That's exactly right.
Like Jeremy said, his broke is different. My manners are different. Some guys just like to open that dog box and they just running rampant and they go out running and they film it. It looks good.
Yeah, all Christian dogs bark at squirrels. Mine don't.
Mm-hmm.
Mine will bark at deer, but they're not going to run them.
I don't bark at deer.
They were just making sure I seen them too, I think.
Hey, I think if you guys could get a pup to bark at an airplane, you'd have another Bolt.
He was looking up, huh?
That's what Larry gave Hendrix a lot of grief. They had them pups there in the yard at Larry's and he was chewing Larry out for not having a good breeding program. And they was always giving each other grief, And he says, just look at that pup. That pup's barking at them airplanes. And he was barking and he was looking up in the sky and, 40,000 feet, there's a jet leaving a trail up there. But then whenever Larry said he needed some money to buy a new pickup, he called Steve and said, hey, you need to come look through these dogs. I need a little bit more cash. And so he gets over there and he's got all these young dogs running around. And Steve said, so which one of these do you think is the best out of these young dogs? And Larry pointed, he says, that one right there. He says, what's he doing? He says he does everything right and he trails airplanes. It was that same pup, and that was Bolt. But,
Well,
it's the same what we're talking about looking for in these dogs. When we get back to this line breeding and inbreeding, the two versus each other, just like do you want to end up with a mediocre bunch of dogs? Or do you want to up your game and stand apart in your peers? That's the way you should approach your breeding program too, and what you're looking for, and don't settle for anything less. And if you don't have that in you, for crying out loud, don't breed any damn dogs.
just buy them and go.
That's right.
So do you think if we talk about the older dog and dropping pups with them, do you think if you took one pup and just trained it by itself, do you think you'd make a better dog than dropping it with that old dog? Just dropping it with that old dog? Where that pup worked on its own, you took one dog, even though you had other dogs, and just worked with that one dog and then let him run with the other one. Do you think that'd make him a little more independent? Or dropping him with the old dog just to learn from the old dog would make him a better dog?
Give them more
I think you got
confidence.
to put them.
I
You got
think
to put them with the old dogs
I think it was
because
this guy.
those dogs communicate.
I think it was
Those
this
dogs
guy
communicate better than we communicate.
I think it was this guy in
Who
this
is
book that took his dogs, and of course he hunted snow, and he walked out tracks, and he walked
Single
out.
dogs?
No, not single dogs. I think he
Oh.
had two, but he walked out snow tracks and got his dogs trained up, and did. Who was this guy? Jerry A. Lewis. Wasn't he a comedian? Jerry Lewis.
Jerry Lewis.
No, I read this book a
Hey, he's
long
a
time
hound guy,
ago.
too.
Yeah, I think he walked out tracks, just walked out tracks, and trained his dogs on his own.
So, you guys have been around Casey. I'd be interested to know. I mean, I know what Jared's doing. Jared Nichols, what he's doing. But Casey's got some dogs he's catching game with. What's his program?
I think he's
Where
the
are you
same.
at,
He
Casey?
He keeps them pretty tight, Benny.
I think he as far as breeding,
Yeah.
He outcrosses some, but most of the time he keeps them pretty tight, from what he said.
let me
He's on here. Get on here, Casey.
Yeah, he's commenting.
I'll send him a link and see if we can
Send
get
him a
on.
link.
I told him earlier that Chris was picking on Diana. She needed to come on and defend herself.
Need to get on back in the trailer. Let me see where am I at there. Let's see if he lands.
And another one, look at Sam Derringer. What do they got? And they sell a lot of dogs. Sam and his son Scotty.
George said he'd jump on, but his internet's bad.
Yeah, George hasn't been on in a long time.
I'll send him a link.
Try, George.
Maybe he can try.
We'd like to know about your bear hunting problems here of late.
Try to be the best in your eyes and see what happens. I think it's all personal preference too. If you got 10 dogs in your yard and you got one that trees real good, one that trails real good, you breed them and maybe you'll get one that trees and trails real good.
And see what he's saying, the best of the best, but that brings into what you're scrutinizing for. What is it? What characteristics are you looking for? Because you can't, you're going to get a dog. It's a very rare circumstance when one dog does absolutely everything spot on perfect, and outshines the rest of the pack. So
that's why we hunt.
You got to have, yeah.
It's still kind of luck of the draw, even if you breed your two best. And which puppy you're going to keep. a couple months old, are you going to keep them all and then get rid of them later on if they don't work out? I mean, you
I
got
think that's where
5,
your
6, 7
50-50 comes
pups.
in, is choosing a
Mhm.
pup.
I don't
You
think
know.
so. I think if you raise those pups to 5 weeks and you spend time out there in the yard and watch those pups, just stay
You
out of the
figure out
way
the
and
ones
watch
that
how those
like you.
pups. Well, no, stay out of the way. Let those pups be pups and watch how they handle themselves, and try to watch what their little brain is thinking about, and the cream will rise to the top.
I think it'd take a little bit
I
longer than
agree.
5 weeks.
Well, but you get a good idea in 5 weeks what's
I
going
think,
on.
yeah, I think by 8 weeks, if you
I
if
don't.
you're really
I
paying
don't.
attention,
I don't agree with that.
the 5 weeks or what?
Yeah.
Tell us, Brett. Tell us.
Well, I mean, I don't. I've seen dogs turn around. I mean, you might think he's
Oh, that can
just a
happen.
Well, I
gangly
know what
dumb
you're
pup.
saying there. I've seen pups get crazy and do this
There you
great
go.
thing,
But
and
when
then
they're
at 2 or 3 months, they just kind of go off something else, and then that dog, that little puppy that wasn't interested, becomes interested. Is that what you're kind of talking about?
well, yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
I go back to that uh, Super Hoover dog I had. He didn't do nothing, and I paid. It was a long time ago. I paid $400 for him, but I paid $400 for him, so I kept him. And he didn't do nothing until one day it turned on, and he was as good a dog as you'd want. And it took
We
him
already got
till
Casey. Casey's pacing. He's so worked up.
Yeah, it don't matter now. Casey's here. It's all better.
give
Tell
us a
us,
better
Casey.
give us a better
Fix
angle
it.
of yourself, Casey.
Fix it,
No.
Casey.
I'm trying to turn off the computer.
Tell us about your dogs. We're tired of talking about ours. We've about bullshitted
Fire it up.
everybody till they're
Yeah.
tired of it.
What do you want to
He don't
know?
have dogs. He's got
How
mountains.
how'd you get them? Where'd they come from? Tell us some stories.
Line
pretty
breeding,
much.
inbreeding.
It's not line breeding. It's line breeding if it works. If it doesn't, it's inbreeding.
That's right.
That's exactly right. That's everybody's statement.
No, these dogs that we have right here, they pretty much go back to pretty much everything you're talking about, Benny. It's just shoot. How do you say, like, when I made that comment, like, you breed the best of the best in your eyes, and that's everybody's opinion. Whether you're a snow guy and you're looking for one of them big, deep, thick Gaskin type dogs, or if you really like a big blue Cameron bred dog, and that's what you like, then you go find another dog like that and breed to that and try to create the dog that you're trying to create. And I think that's what got me stirred up. We get so blindfolded on different dogs, and I think reaching out and breeding to a different dog dang sure doesn't hurt anything. But honestly, you got to have somewhere to start. Like, you're not going to go get a French poodle and breed it to a basset hound and go catch running tough bears. You know what I mean? So the guys before us have laid down the groundwork in the dogs, and I think that's what you keep going to, Benny. You talk about Larry and Steve and stuff like that. Well, them guys, they bred their best dogs to another guy's best dogs, and
Yep.
that's where that line of dogs come from, correct? So,
Yes, exactly.
And I can trace these dogs back that we have here. I mean, plumb before Steve and Larry's time, or anybody else, Lemon, just if you're just spitting names out there. I mean, these dogs go back to Mathis dogs. They go back to Carol Shelley's dogs. Genetics does have a pile to do with it, But like you said, when you talk about Bolt or you talk about this dog or that dog, what made that dog shine? That dog being hunted the way he was hunted, and that dog's opportunity. If that dog was just in a mediocre hunter's hand, that dog would have always been a mediocre dog.
He'd have belonged to me.
Or me, yeah.
Well, no, you're exactly right, Casey, because you can take the best possible boxer and put him in the wrong training camp, and he'll get his ass kicked when he goes to the top-notch boxers. Where if he was
No.
trained better, he'd shine. And that's the same thing with these dogs. But we're talking about the scenarios. There's so much more to this than just a cut and dried answer. And and we're trying to
100%.
cover all the topics. Yeah. But it's like when I said Dickerson gave my son that dog, and I thought, well, I need to change my game and I need to change my focus. And so everybody I called, I don't know if Karen was married to Richard yet or not, but I called Karen and she said,
Mhm.
well, you need to talk to Larry. And I called this person and, well, you need to talk to Larry. Well, I called that person. Well, you need to talk to Larry. And so that's when I went to Larry's house and drove up in his yard and got out and said, hey, are you Larry? And so, and that just introduced me to a certain direction of dogs. You know, I knew
Good one.
Scott Derringer when I was a kid. Um, when I met Sam, Sam was 10 years old. He was more kid than I was. So I only happened to be involved in this one circle
Mhm.
because that's where everybody pointed me. But I
Right.
also know the value of those other circles out there as well because I reached into them to some extent as well. I mean, I drove all the way to Central California to get some dogs.
Mhm.
And I sent a guy to Northern California, 50 miles from the state line, to get some other dogs for me. And so it doesn't hurt to mix and match some of these lines. But I think that you've got to give the dog, like you said, the opportunity. And that's why I said, you know, if you're going to do this and you're going to change your game and you want to account for something, every breath you take, you need to be breathing over the back of that dog out in the
That's right.
field. That's how you're going to
That,
make it. But you also have to be very tunnel visioned, I guess, in
mhm.
exactly what you're looking for in your dog.
Right.
Otherwise, you're just going to end up with a dog.
Well, I'm in that. I'm not in that boat bad, but I was headed down that road because I didn't breed no dogs, and I had, in my opinion, I had great bred dogs, great bred females, and I wasn't hunting with anybody I'd breed a dog to. You know, and there you are in that, like you said, in that tunnel vision. There wasn't the quality, there wasn't the traits, there wasn't the stuff that I was looking for in that dog to breed that dog. You know, number one is that dog's drive. That dog's got to have a lot of drive. Nose, feet, conformation, the whole 9 yards. I mean, down to the color of the dog. You know, I mean, you can get that picky on it. And like I said, I wasn't hunting with guys with the type of dog that I wanted to breed to. You know, and it wasn't nothing against their dogs. They could go catch game, but I wasn't in it just to take and raise my dogs or just raise a litter of pups. I was happy. I was comfortable where I was at. My dogs were doing good in my opinion. They were doing good for me, and that's the bottom line. But yeah, like you said, you have to get out there, and so I finally did. And I mean, I've got probably one of the best bred dogs that I've ever had in my life, and the whole package. You know, the dog's for me, the dog's probably 30 pounds tops. 2 months ago, I was hunting hard. I was hunting that dog. That dog was as snappy and fast as any dog I've ever seen in my life at 13 years old. And I quit hunting. I went elk hunting and deer hunting and stuff for a minute. And that dog got full of cancer. And I never bred that dog. I never got that dog. I had that dog bred, and we lost all the puppies but 2. And I don't know what the other 2 puppies are doing. But, I mean, there you go. A guy's got to do it, but he's got to go get amongst good dogs that are being hunted the way that you want to hunt. That way them dogs, I think, are... You can go hunt with somebody and watch a dog and watch that dog work. And to me, like that pup will shine, like you'll go watch a dog and that dog will have a lot of traits, lots of stuff that he's doing that you really, really like. But will that dog do it 3 days in a row? Like, can that dog keep grinding? That's what I look for in a dog. And it's in them bloodlines that you're talking about. I mean, that's why the Hendricks dogs, the Smith dogs, the Derringer dogs, the Eckel dogs, when you talk about Southwest Arizona guys, them guys don't keep a dog unless it's that way, and that's where I hold myself to the same standard. I'm not going to have one standing out there that's just a mediocre dog, and that's what we're all striving for.
I think another place to go look, but I don't know how you would get into that circle. Brett's in there, but those guys over in Texas, Brett Bean, those guys, they've got a world-class line of dogs over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've got a dog from. I traded dogs with Breck. I sent him one of my females, and he sent me a male. But he's got everything I like so far, and he's starting to trail a little bit. He's just so little irritants. Barks in the kennel, barks in the dog box, and he is hard-headed. I mean,
you don't know hard-headed, does he?
He's having a hard time growing up. He's having a hard time growing up. But he, as far as everything else, talking about a 35, 40-pound dog, he's perfect size, and his conformation is absolutely perfect. There's nothing wrong with his conformation, and he's real. I say hard-headed, but he's real obedient. He handles real good, except for that damn barking irritates me. And then another thing he does that is a pet peeve of mine. I can't stand a dog who barks going to the other dogs. That drives me crazy. But I'm hoping, and I haven't been able to hunt him as hard as he probably needs to be hunted, and that probably take a lot of that out of him.
Yeah.
What do you?
I was going to say a lot of
coming
people,
back to handler. It always. Go ahead, Benny.
Always what? Let me say real quick that a lot of people don't acknowledge the difference between male pups and female pups. And if we would just put it into context for all of us sitting right here on this program, when we were in the 5th grade, those girls were getting straight, perfect, 100% straight A grades because they were focused on the task at hand. And all us little horn dogs, all we were doing was picking at the girls and poking fun at them and getting ourselves scolded and sent to the principal's office. And
hey, but some of us could do both.
Well, good luck with that. But the hounds are the exact same way.
I agree, Benny.
Some of us could get.
Casey, you got a surefire way of fixing that, don't you?
Yeah, I do. And you know what? That knife is I've cut a lot of dogs that, I would love to have glued them back on. But in my program, it's hard to hunt them that way. When I'm hunting females, and then I've got a handful of cut males, and every male I have that's cut, man, that was a huge mistake. But what made that dog was that dog being cut and me being able to hunt that dog. You see what I'm saying? It was hard as having a male dog around. When I'm hunting hard, my dogs are in heat, that dog gets left at home. And I'm fixing to go through that same situation. I bred a dog this year to a great dry ground bred dog. And matter of fact, he just took one. I had 2 male dogs out of the litter, and I wanted to vomit. I was like, oh, why, Lord, why? Are you trying to show me something? It's time to grow up. And so one was black and tan and one was red. And I'm not a black and tan guy. I'm a red dog guy. So I kept the red dog and he kept the male. And I told Wade, I said, Wade, let's do this. I said, you hunt yours and I'll hunt mine. And we'll keep the best of the best. We'll hunt them. We'll end up hunting together and keep the best of the best, which is probably we will be. He catches a little more game than I do. And he probably will hunt his male a heck of a lot more than I'll hunt mine. But that's just my prediction so far. But, just trying to keep that bloodline, because it's the last of some of my old stuff, or our old stuff from around here. And it goes back to a bunch of his old stuff. So I took that dog full litter mate and went to New Mexico and bred that dog this year. And I did get my 1 red female. I had a litter of pups. I think there was 3 females and 2 males. And 4 of them were black and tan, and there was 1 red female. So the Lord will gift you if you're if you're being obedient. I thought I was in trouble when all I wanted was a red female and I got 2 males.
AC, are they black and tan or are they high tans?
They're black and tans. They're black and tans. Yeah, actually the dog that I bred, the 2 males, that black and tan dog, he's actually almost a cream color. He's kind of a funny looking dog. And he went back to a blue tick black and tan dog, and out of a straight red female. And then this other litter, they go back to shoot. I think Clayton told me that that dog's mom that we bred to was the last litter that Terrell Shelley actually bred. Is the last litter of pups that Terrell Shelley ever bred. So these dogs they've got all the genetics, just like you're talking. I mean, it's all there. I think we get on that emphasize is this dog, he's bred this and they're supposed to do that. And that's not always the case. You got to have somewhere to start, but I don't think that's always the case. The best dogs I've ever had were just plain accidents. Like 2 of the best dogs I got right now are half cow dog. Like neighbor come over, like it was a total wreck. And they're lying, trailing, catching son of guns.
So what do you think the percentage on the handler is? 60-40, 70-30? As far as being the handler's responsibility, or a good handler make a good dog?
95%. I'll just throw it out there. I'll throw it out there. 95%. 95%.
So your genetics is kind of your guidelines. Like, hey, here's what you got. This dog trails. This dog, has the ability or has the lineage that trailed, that tree, that did all this good stuff. Now it's your turn as a handler to make it work.
We can build a race car, but I'm not Dale Earnhardt. I can't drive a race car. I drive 50 miles an hour everywhere I go. Like, Diane, my wife can, but I can't. Like I'm scared to death to go fast. So I think 95% of it. You got to have you got to have a dog to start from. You have to have a dog to start from. I mean, you can't expect to go take a French poodle and be a dry ground lion hound. You know, you want to go get the best genetics that you possibly can get, but for that dog, for the outcome of that dog, he has to have sore feet and he has to see game.
There you have it.
And all the attributes of the dog, the trailing, all that stuff, that's what makes you keep that pup. When that pup's out there and you're looking at that pup and you're watching that pup, you've got your hopes of what that dog's gonna turn out to be. The end result is you giving that dog the opportunity to be a rock star, to be a number one. Yep. You know, like Brett was talking about his young dog, you know, and there's little things about that dog that he doesn't like, but he oversees that because of things that dog does that he does like. So the things that he does like exceed the parts of the stuff that he doesn't like. He can put up with that. Am I correct, Brett?
Yeah, and the fact that his half brother sold for $17,500.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, yeah, there's something there. There's got to be something there.
Right.
That poor dog. Of all the places that dog could wind up, it lives in Tucumcari, New Mexico.
I'll be damned. You know, when Brett, the last dog, I called this young man up and asked him about breeding a dog to him. And he told me, he says, dude, you don't want to breed to one of my dogs. And I said, Clayton, I've been in the woods with you quite a few times, and enough to know. I said, yeah, you got a dog I'd like to breed to. I said, you've seen my dogs. I says, what male dog would you breed to? And instead of just getting real blindfolded in that picture, I left that opportunity open to that young man. Because that kid's got one right there that he got from Scotty Derringer that he paid a pile of money from. That was a super nice dog. But he also had 3 or 4 of his own that he had raised that were super nice dogs, in my opinion, that I think were just as good. And it took him a minute. He's like, he just kept trying to talk me out of it. And finally I said, Clayton, if my dog ain't good enough, dude, like, you can hurt my feelings. I don't care. He's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. He's like, you could breed that dog somewhere else. He's like, I don't know. You know, I really respected that young man for doing that, but I wanted his opinion, and he didn't want to give it. You see what I'm saying? And I was just like, you know your dogs. You know what they do. You've seen this dog hunt. You've been behind this dog for 4 or 5 days. If you own this dog, what would you breed this dog to? And I'm going to raise that litter of puppies for him. They should be good. Yeah. I hope.
There you go.
I mean, it's not like I'm just raising a litter of puppies. My wife sold some dogs years and years ago, and I've been trying, and that's actually how I ended up knowing this kid. I knew his dad pretty well, and a friend of a guy that used to hunt lions here in Arizona quite a bit. He quit hunting. He called me and wanted to buy a dog, and my wife put some puppies on Facebook or something, and man, I was mad. And she's like, why? She's like, I get like $400 for these puppies. Like, I've got this whole litter sold. Like, we don't want them. And I'm like, I'm like, Dana, no. And she's like, what? I'm like, them dogs get in the wrong person's hand, and then you know, that Casey's dogs ain't no good. And that was a little bit of pride on my part coming out. So, but one of the right guys called me and asked me. He said, hey, I want 2 of them puppies. And I said, okay. And he'd been texting my wife back and forth about how them dogs bred, and she was telling him. And finally, I had service one day, and he called me, and I said, Swaggle, I said, dude, look, I said, the dog goes back to your stuff. I said, just a little bit. And he's like, oh, how? And I told him by a dog that you'd bought that so-and-so had. I said, that'd be the granddad of that dog, which was cool because I learned more about that other dog. But that kid in New Mexico ended up with that set of dogs. And I was at a ranch rodeo a few years ago, and I went to talking to him and about that set of dogs that he bought. And come to find out, it was actually, we were able to trace a dog back, that was like 8 years old and been through 2 owners that kid had. And then, just a friendship had been formed, since then. But it was, like I said, when I went to that kid to breed a dog to him, I wanted to leave it completely up to him. And boy, he kind of ran backwards. And maybe I am getting old. And he's just like, man, like, you don't want to breed yours to mine. Mine ain't good enough. That kid had great dogs, and the reason that kid has great dogs is because he goes to the woods, but he does, like Benny keeps talking, he does have that bloodline. Them dogs go back to every big name you can talk about that ever had a dog that walked past a cholla cactus or a prickly pear, when it hadn't rained in 130 days like it has now.
I wouldn't know nothing.
There you
about
have it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you
Jeremy.
raise alligators.
I've been trying to pump water to Casey, and he won't take it.
Well,
I'm
I just
scared to
believe,
death I'm
guys-
going to have to ship cows, and he keeps sending me pictures of floods and stuff, and I just don't even answer him back. I'm just like, man, I hope an alligator or water moccasins bite that guy.
Don't jinx me, Casey.
I think there's one more deal too, that if everybody that hunts real hard and puts in all the effort from the handler side with mediocre dogs, if they ever got their hand on one good dog and gave them that same opportunity they're giving their rest of their dogs, they would see the difference.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. Like that boy from New Mexico I was talking about, when he got this set of dogs that he ended up getting. This guy had sold a whole pack, and there was 2 guys a guy went and bought them, and then he split them. He sent half the pack here, and he kept half the pack. And the guy that got the dogs, them dogs were probably on the bottom end of his pack at the time. But when that young boy got that set of dogs right there, he's like, dude, it changed my game. He said, I went from being a bear hunter and just having a dog, I could catch a lion if I got lucky, to being able to catch a lion. And it did. It opened his eyes up into what he was doing with them dogs, breeding them dogs, and what one of them greats are supposed to be. And you're 100% right, and that's when you get to that point, which hopefully one day I get to that point and I see that, dude, that it's going to be cool. It's just every new dog that's doing something cool is just, it's like, man, right there, like, can I get a little bit more of this? Can I get a little bit more like this? And like Brett was saying earlier, right when I got on, that's why we hunt with a pack. Every dog's going to have something different. But man, when you got 7 of them that are all that are all equally the same, that's what we're striving for, right?
Oh, well, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Well,
How
about
can you end a show better than that?
Any concluders?
If you're going to get dogs, make sure you have the time to run them.
Pay the money.
100%.
Pay a lot of money. Save yourself some money.
It's not fair to that dog. It's not fair to that dog to be just hung on a chain. I love that saying that old timer told Brett years ago. He says, "Don't sell a dog because that sucker's going to hang him on a chain." And I'm guilty. I mean, I'm plumb guilty. Mine have been hung on a chain for 2 months, and they don't ever get hung on a chain for 2 months. And things are changing. We got dogs in shape now. And
Yeah, they said you'll sell a dog to somebody and they'll hang it on a chain. They'll take it out there and expect it to catch a lion, and it won't do any good. And then they'll say, "Well, that guy has bad dogs."
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Texas dogs will not work in the Appalachian Mountains too tall of timber. You
I
better
think-
not tell Cody that.
I said I think Rick Cooley's trying to get Cody to come out there, and that's the only way he knows he can do it.
They told Cody he couldn't catch a bobcat there, that place in Oklahoma, or couldn't consistently catch them. And we went over there and spent 3 days, and he caught 2. Was trailing the third one, and we had to pull him off.
I'm from Louisiana.
Jeremy is from the swamps of Louisiana. Show them your feet, Jeremy. They got webs between the toes.
I got big feet to hold me up in the mud. That's what I told Jared. I said, I'm not built for this country. I'm overgrown. You got to be short.
Got toes probably shaped like a viper's head. Dang snake lovers.
My toes look like this, Casey.
That would be interesting to see, though, if those running walkers from Texas would learn how to locate. Now there's a difference between a tree dog and a locating tree dog. If they had a dog that learned how to locate those bobcats in that tall timber, that would be interesting to see.
They're way up.
And they don't, it's not like a bear sitting up there. They can't just see them.
Yeah. Heck, you can't see a bobcat in a 30-foot tree sometimes.
Yeah, so a locating tree dog. That's what those guys got back there in that tall timber.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you have it.
There you go, guys.
I hope we answered everybody's curiosity.
We finally got to talking about breeding.
Hey, hour and a half of it. We're good.
But we never did get on how really how close are them dogs, bred. I think like when Benny's talking about the dogs that he's talking about, them dogs are all bred pretty tight, real tight. Not to the point that they're inbred. I think sometimes them wrecks do happen, but I don't see the inbreeding deal or the line breeding deal in this country much anymore. There's one guy up there up north in like Pine, Arizona, and the guy has great dogs, and I'm really thankful that he has bred them dogs the way he has, because he's kept the attributes in them dogs that I like. And I just haven't visited with enough guys that really talk about line breeding a dog.
Has he got a construction company?
Yes, sir.
He still has dogs, huh?
I think his son's hunting a little bit, but yeah, Travie will have dogs till the day he dies. And them dogs are cold nose superior type dogs.
He traded dogs a lot with Don Pock when I was in my
Oh, yeah.
early 20s, and I was hunting with Don.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's one of the only guys that I know that intensely line breeds dogs, and I don't know if his nephew, is still going on with that same deal, which I would imagine he probably has a little bit, just because they've kept them genetics for so long. But it was line breeding when it happened, when he did it. It wasn't inbreeding.
Yeah. Guys, I'm going to check out. My
Tulip.
first wife is calling me.
Thanks for dropping in.
We'll see you guys.
Thanks,
Casey,
Benny.
talk
We'll see you.
later.
Take care. Happy New Year.
Oh,
All right, guys. We lost the star of the show. The views will go down. Everybody will leave.
Casey, thanks for jumping on, giving us your 2 cents.
Yeah, thank you, Casey.
Oh, thanks for having me.
And-
I got a little stirred up. I was like, I still have that strong belief, that a superstar dog is going to be who makes the dog a superstar. They have to be hunted.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You got to get them out.
Maggie stole your seat on the couch, basically.
No, she still got a little too much hound dog in her. She kind of when she came in the house for a night, it was a trash mess the next morning. She got down the garbage. But, yeah.
Happy New Year, Missy.
Thanks for making a little time for us, Missy. Appreciate it.
Guys, Jeremy, thanks for stopping in. Anytime. You got that link, save it.
Yeah. If you guys save that.
I was beginning to think you didn't like me. You were always going on Chris's, and I'd never see you here.
Monday night's generally a busy night for me. I'll try to get on here when I can. But
Cool.
first
Good.
of the week.
Casey, anytime.
Thank you, sir.
Stop in. Guys, Chris, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody.
Y'all too.
All right, guys. You guys have a good one.
We'll see you.
Thank you, sir.
Guys, to everybody, Happy New Year. I hope it brings everything you want.
We'll see you next year.
We'll see you next year. I think I'm going to go live on New Year's Day on my Born 100 Years Too Late channel.
What
I
time
gotta
are you
answer
going on
some-
that?
Huh?
What time is that?
I don't know. I'll probably go about 5.
Oh.
Try it, and I usually for an hour. I try to answer a lot of the questions and comments live that I didn't get to, through the regular comments. So everybody froze. I guess it's just me. No, there you are. You're
No,
back.
Yeah, you froze up.
You froze up for a second. It just froze up.
I
It's
thought it
telling us it's time to go.
Yes, sir. All right. You bunch of brainwashed idiots. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's.
Same to y'all.
Hasta
Of course,
luego.
it'll be to me before it
Later.
is to y'all. So.
That's right.